Big Friday to kick things off here. We're dead flat once again for both the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Lots to come, though, both in the way of economic data coming up this morning. It's going to be a little bit later on, 9:45 and then 10 o'clock. And then the big possible market-moving event later on this afternoon, 3:30. President Trump set to meet with Russian President Putin in Alaska around 3:30. So it'll be 4:30, 5 o'clock before that ever gets underway. That's how things go. But keep in mind, 10 o'clock, Michigan Consumer Sentiment coming up. We'll get inflation look in that. There's a 1-year and a 5-year expectation number that comes out. If you haven't seen that number before, given what has happened this week with inflation data, this could be an important number today. Again, coming up at 10 o'clock. Make sure you're paying attention for that, and also retail data as well to come. It's an interesting look for the overall market to kick things off, pretty much dead flat, but there are a lot of individual movers once again. UNH, the big one with Warren Buffett and Berkshire. I mean, I guess it's more Berkshire than Warren Buffett at this point, coming in with $1.5 billion on a 13F of UNH, trying to, I don't know, dumpster dive at this point for UNH. It's such a I was talking to Sean about this after the close last night. It's so far removed from anything they've done in recent history. Absolutely. I mean, he left with I think the last thing he said was, "I'll be around to give his opinion and give his take on some of these moves that they want to do." But I don't know. This doesn't feel like Warren to me.
No, it doesn't, especially because there's so many regulatory headwinds still. They're under investigation.
Yeah,
Public sentiment is not with them at the moment, Brendo. But you feel like, with so many baby boomers, requiring medical care, you're going to definitely be hearing more from this company in the near future. Lots to talk about today, guys. Intel, obviously, very much in focus, up nicely here. 3% was up higher last night on the back of news that possibly the U.S. government could take a stake in Intel to kind of help it boost the foundry business there. More to come on that. AMAT also reporting Brendo Applied Materials down very sharply here, 13 and change to start in the morning. HIMS also in focus. Another investigation there about their cancellation practices, their advertising practices. Yeah. More from that. And then some smaller stories here about Apple and NVIDIA, et cetera.
I mean, not like we've had enough of those this week. My economic calendar is finally updated here, so I can give you these retail sales data numbers. 0.5% to the upside on the month-over-month retail sales for July versus 0.4 expected. Import-export prices coming out there at 8:30 as well, 0.1 versus 0.3, so a slight downtick. That's on the export side. Imports to the upside, 0.4 versus 0.2. Retail sales control group month-over-month higher than expected, 0.5 versus 0.3. If you take out autos, 0.3 versus 0.3, in line with expectations. The overall number, though, higher than expected, 3.9%. There was a lot of headlines and a lot of economists pointing to this number specifically, coming off that PPI print that was way hotter than expected yesterday, if anyone missed it, looking to these retail sales numbers to say, hey, is this going to follow through on the retail end? Yeah,
and that's what is really being discussed here. So the input costs for a lot of the products that, may cause inflation. Does the inflation in PPI get absorbed by the manufacturer or by the retailer, or do they pass it on to the customer and then we see it reflected on CPI? So, because we didn't see it yet, but that doesn't mean that there's no lag effect. So it's actually an interesting story to watch.
And I think most of the narrative I was seeing anyways this morning was, even if they are passing it along or passing it through the process to the retail end of things, that cannot be sustained for a significant amount of time, and it'll get to a point where they're going to have to do something different. But 3.9% versus 3.5, guys, higher than expected here. Sean with the day off today. Obi's in. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Oh, so there goes. I was going to make a joke about Sean getting a tan, but then Brendan spills the beans. Oh, no.
Well, how would they have known?
Well, it still has Sean on the position board, so fair, whatever. Now we can't do that anymore. That's fine. But we get it's 13F day. Yay, everybody! The worst kept secret, Berkshire and UNH. Obviously, I think this is what we all expected.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the bid come in, and there were like rumors going around, and we kind of already knew. And then now is the confirmation. So it's like, all right, cool.
But yesterday was a weird day. Yeah. We talked about that hot number when it comes to PPI. Well, we'll get to some of that because there's going to be a lot of buy.
UNH was that trade.
UNH was that trade. We'll talk about that for CoreWeave a little bit today as well. But I just want to say, like, the futures, we got a lot of questions about what is going on. How could the market have been so strong after that hot inflation number? Really, it was just a strange sideways effective day yesterday, and we really didn't do much. Like, there was no doom and gloom over that PPI, and we'll see, like, as the boy said, like, whether the costs are getting passed through or not. You certainly have a couple of camps right now. Like, you've got a lot of people saying that hot number could sway things back to no cut. You've got lots of people still thinking it's an automatic. That's where the market's pricing it for a rate cut in September. And you have a few voices out there saying you could still be 50 basis points. So I think we're gearing up for a very, very interesting and somewhat contested decision in a couple of weeks. And you've had some members say they changed their minds up until the last day. So I think the volatility is going to be interesting for sure. That Intel story, do I think they're going to take a stake? Does it make sense? I don't know. I tend to fall on the other side of those things opinion-wise, but you can't deny the price action. What's interesting about Intel is before that news hit, it was just uptrending all day long. I mean, it always works out that way. You know, uptrends into the moment when we get the news that they're considering a stake, and it's been trending every single day since the meeting between the CEO and President Trump. So yeah, the culmination of that is next time you just buy at the beginning. You could have bought this when they had their meeting. Yeah. Although, I mean, the idea is also you can go long every single day, which thankfully yesterday actually went long. Usually go short this stuff.
Yeah, I love the story of the shake and bake, where he first comes out and says that, you know, Buddy has to be let go, Intel CEO has to leave, and then he's like, okay, fine, we'll talk to you. And then that talk was very significant, I think. It's like after he tells him that, okay, this guy has to leave, he actually invites him to his house to be like, all right, let's talk. So like, what can that entail? I think again, another taco trade, in a sense, I would say, where the price action was pretty interesting, where it sold off on that news, and then you come in, you trend all the way up, and then on the confirmation, you rip up, and not only do you rip up, you're breaking out technically pretty nicely as well. So yeah, Intel, I think it's not necessarily multi-month highs, but definitely multi-week highs here. If you go to the weekly, you can see we've been in this consolidation for, I guess, multiple months. The multi-month high is sitting at 27.55, but you can see this little consolidation since about April, we're starting to break out finally and push a little bit higher. With a held bid, it seems right at 19, Neil. This 19 held bid has been pretty nice.
Pretty gold.
Since 2024, August of 2024. So yeah, 19's been the place. It hasn't really gone anywhere off of that, but beautiful scalps, beautiful range it's forming. Let's see if this will finally take it out of its rut. We know that Intel, I guess a few years ago, was trending very, very nicely and broke that trend and has been kind of stalling around for the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years. It seems, yeah, since about 22. So it should be interesting. I'm curious to know whether or not this catches a bid. Here, we know that Intel kind of likes to do its own things when it comes to the chip sector. Yeah. So that's always interesting. I think there's definitely something to be said about that.
But speaking
of chips. Yeah, let's see if some of these chips move around. Google's moving around right now as well. That was crazy yesterday. I think I asked Adara for the news from yesterday, and that was absolutely wild what it did. I think, no, not yesterday, the day before yesterday. So Wednesday, August 13th.
It was a strange story. It had to, I think it had to do with, basically, it was basically the App Store, and they were going to boot any wallet apps that didn't have whatever proper credentials and blah, blah, blah. It was strange, and it was almost like people were just mad at them for it, because it didn't seem like a really big story. And all it's like who would be affected by it, and it was almost like it was just a panic sell.
And look at the reversion that comes in. Like so I didn't trade yesterday. That's why I thought it was yesterday. Gotcha. But yeah, no, it's this is the move that happened, and this is a 3-minute chart here. If we can go to the chart, absolutely crazy. It seems like that 200 level is being defended. So it should be interesting to see where Google goes on from here. It's pushing back up. But yeah, we ping that 200. We know that 200 was a bit of a breakout area as well. We basically ping it, and it shows us in times of volatility and times of stress that there is very much a bid on top of 200.
We had some there were a lot of really weird and funny things. I know we have Michael Noss and we're setting up for that, but there was something that happened even on Microsoft yesterday that was just all the world bizarre. And for an hour, Microsoft just stopped moving from 1240 till 136, almost a full hour. Microsoft just went sideways, and when it broke out of that range, look at the fall. So it's a random price at $524. It might be worth watching this level, maybe even during lunchtime as well, just to see if shenanigans happen again. But we got a bunch of 13F files. We found out that the Gates Foundation sold like 8% of their stake. So there's a lot of that. I doubt that that's what it was, but strange price action on Softy. If I see that again, well, first of all, it was actually one of our viewers that was awesome that they were pointing this out after the fact, because that made me pull up the chart. But if you see this in real time, it's almost, you see it that long, you just take the bottom break. And the other way too, like you take the top break and just take a shot at it. Because if it's gonna go an hour nowhere, the stock is gonna move after that. That's just how things work. So yeah, we gotta watch out for patterns like this. Sometimes it's almost like it's not a free roll, it's just a high probability trade that you can get in either direction. I haven't seen anything like that in quite some time on a softy. But let's move on with it. We've got Michael Noss. I know he's gonna be locked and loaded, ready to go. I wonder what he has in his 13Fs. No idea. If he even does. That's more of a hedgy thing. But certainly that's the biggest catalyst today, is a lot of these 13F filings.
Yeah, a lot to sift through as far as that is concerned. Let's bring in Michael Noss on a Friday morning here and touch on crypto. He wants to talk a little bit about why we should be buying miners at this point, Mr. Noss. We've talked about this in the past, kind of in a once removed situation, or a very, very secondary situation. But I mean, I think the narrative has always been, if you're going to own these things, like just own the underlying asset. Why now has that changed?
Yeah, and I've been kind of a component of that. And, I think I've told this story before, that I worked for a miner for a period of time in 2017, 2018. And it's not a good business. It's very capital intensive, and you got to pay for a lot of power and electricity and energy. So I haven't been a fan of these things for a while, essentially since we've got ETFs and a different way to express those trades for those who don't want to open crypto accounts. But I think I've got a little bit of a compelling case for you here. So first of all, I just wanted to start with the chart of Bitcoin, just to show that this chart of these ETFs, or the ETF of these miners, is very interesting, especially in the context of what could be this failed breakout. If we don't end up recovering this, probably will happen over the weekend. It seems all crypto moves happen over the weekend, but we tried to break out a couple days ago into this 123, 124 area, and then we fell pretty dramatically. And when I took this last night, we're still hanging out in this zone. But next chart is kind of the ETF I want to talk about, and this is the ETF of crypto miners, WGMI, which actually, I had no idea, but this is, I guess, a funny joke in the crypto world. It stands for "We're gonna make it," and I guess it's what they all say to each other as they're hodling their crypto. But this chart is pretty interesting, and this is a weekly chart, and this is by CoinShares, and again, it's a Bitcoin mining ETF. So think of all of your miners out there. And it's looking pretty strong here. You can see this kind of cup and handle look where we're holding right up near highs. But the next chart is actually what got really interesting to me. So this is a chart. You can get these from FinViz, where you can actually chart out the short float percentage. So not only a static number, because the number is not that big. I think it's somewhere in the area of 10 to 15 in places that I could find a percent short float. But what's interesting to me is, as this chart has been moving higher, you can see that lower orange indicator, which is the short float percentage, has been moving higher with it. So they're not hugely short, but they're shorting at the wrong time, right? This ETF has gone and about doubled in the span of this increase in short float. So knowing where they're short, I think, is as important, if not more important, than how much they're short. And you're seeing this here. They've been shorting on the way up. And to create a short squeeze, you have to both have a heavy short float, and they have to be wrong, right? It doesn't matter if this chart was going straight down. They could be short all they want, because they're not in any risk of any kind of liquidation. So zooming in here on WGMI, and this is what got me really interested yesterday, and I wanted to bring this to you today. On the next chart here, I have just a daily chart of this guy and the relative volume on WGMI. And you can see this really nice tight base that's been happening. It's been consolidating, not at all looking like that Bitcoin chart that I showed you earlier where it had this dramatic sell-off. It's been holding, and this lower indicator is simply just relative volume. So you can see that we get sometimes little volume before moves, little volume at the top. When it's green, it's just saying it's above normal volume. When it's red, it's saying it's below normal volume. So we had a little bit of a volume spike today, nothing crazy or dramatic, but just showing that this breakout that occurred yesterday, there was a little bit of lags behind it in the context of the huge short float, in the context of that overall weekly chart butting up near all-time highs. Has me interested. Again, these are really bad industries, so I'm not planning on holding these for a long time. But if you can get a nice little breakout here, maybe it's worth a shot. Now, just two names, if you don't want to go just the ETF road, that are interesting is one is Mara. This one I had a great trade on years ago, and I've kind of haven't really touched ever since. Has a pretty clear level around this kind of 16.5 zone. You can see it's been support, resistance, and is currently acting as resistance. 30% short float on this name, so WGMI starts moving, we start to get, some Bitcoin mining participation, we get a nice move or a close above that 1650, maybe those shorts start to get a little bit nervous, start to cover. I think these guys are starting to do the crypto treasury along with everyone else in the world, so this might be a little bit more Bitcoin sensitive directly, but an interesting one. And then yesterday, I think everyone was watching this one, but I think it's worth putting on a list for WULF, WULF, not WOLF. And nice little trend line break, had a great gap yesterday because of earnings, held that gap pretty well, sitting around a 31% short float. So I don't think I would chase it just after this gap, but this is another one that has to go on watch, see if it gets some sort of consolidation or pullback around this zone, and then some sort of continuation I could take it. And the hope is that the Bitcoin miners are heavily shorted, that this WGMI is heavily shorted, and if we get some sort of Bitcoin resurgence or anything that kind of causes these to push higher, you get a little bit of a short squeeze and you take your money and move on. Because again, I'm not looking to invest in any of these names because it's just, it's a really hard business.
When it comes to timing on something like that, I mean, we're talking a couple days, 3 days, a week.
Yeah, a week or two.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2-3 weeks maybe. I'm certainly not going to be anywhere near these things the next time they report earnings because, they're mostly they lose money over time.
Given the range of different coins that we're seeing starting to go, a lot more attention around Ethereum now, a lot more movement around Ethereum now. Anything specific outside of something Bitcoin focused primarily?
Yeah, so I'm actually really interested in Solana. I didn't bring a chart with me, but maybe we'll go over that on Monday. But, it's one of those, if you keep going down the cap scale, it kind of makes sense. You had the Bitcoin breakout, and then a couple weeks or months later, now we've had Ethereum breakout. So I'm interested in potentially Solana breaking out, and then I'll have to put together a presentation and try not to laugh as we start talking about all of these weird Solana-powered coins. I think the newest one I keep hearing about is sheep with hat. If you don't want your dog with a hat, you can have a sheep with your hat. But Solana as a whole is interesting to me, and I just learned the other day there is SOLT.
What do we
if you want to go crazy, because Solana, that's a double ETF on Solana. Again, if you want to trade this crypto using traditional ETFs or traditional equities.
Double leverage, double long ETF. What is the ticker on that?
SOLT, 2x leverage Solana.
If you're feeling a little bit frisky on a Friday.
Be careful.
Yeah, tread lightly. Michael Noss, great stuff. As always, have a great weekend.
Talk to you on Monday.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noss. Yeah, no, some solid names there. Looking at some of these miners, I think that's definitely an interesting look. I haven't really looked at them for a while, but we used to have a trader that would trade Mara every single day.
Scotty H.
Scotty H. Yeah, let's take a quick look at some of these names here. But I think that's a good look. We might be looking for a bit of a delayed reaction on some of these because these really haven't been moving like some of the other crypto related assets. I would say.
Unless you're Wolf.
Sure, WULF. Yeah, exactly. WULF is definitely
a different beast yesterday.
See, WULF is actually on my watch list today because of how it's moving, because of this technical area right here, that prior high at 930. And if we continue with the kind of buying that we saw yesterday, oh boy, from the pre-market all the way into the close, up over 50%. You gotta remember, this thing trades a decent amount of volume here. Well, it did yesterday, 290 million almost, with a market cap of 3.4 billion. So definitely not necessarily a mid to small cap, but definitely something I'm gonna be watching today. But yeah, another, I guess these guys do some mining as well, but yeah.
Oh, there's no question that one's gonna be in play. It'll be tasty. Hopefully that long, just like Obi showed me.
I brought this in. I was like, "Yo, have you seen these?"
I didn't know we had like little Snickers Coffee Mate. I drink my coffee black, but
nice.
I'm always down with trying something new, just for the day because I like Snickers. But no, WULF, you already went over it. This is one where it would be hard pressed not to have attention on it. The thing I don't like about it right now, it's underneath the volume weighted average price. The momentum was so strong yesterday that if it even sniffed VWAP, it was running away from it. So you want to see some continuation. If you looked at that daily chart that Michael pointed out and drew that trend line, then the dip buy on that for potential support, that trend line turning to support, is more like the $7 area. So this could really fall if it decides to fill in the gap. I'd much rather it hold highs and start breaking out yesterday's top. Then you want to join in. And another one in that space, we might talk about this in the watch list actually, but if you're looking for like small cappers running, 13F filings, it's fun season and everyone's always concerned with, oh, UNH, or what are we doing with the Mag 7? Is Warren buying or selling Apple shares? But you can get things like this too, because Tudor putting a stake in here on Open, and that has it gapping higher. And this is a squeeze name, over 20% short float. So another runner held VWAP really nicely as well yesterday, and now you get another catalyst going for it. Recently regained compliance with the Nasdaq, so they're not gonna get delisted. They're not gonna have to reverse split, and all systems go for Open. I'll be looking for some longs there as well. And we can also look for more ideas with the upgrades and downgrades at the screen with Adara.
This first name here is Salesforce getting upgraded. And Neil's talked about this one. It's been in a bit of a rough patch lately. Let's see if this D.A. Davidson note and $225 price target can help it out a bit, though. I believe it's already trading around where this price target is. Wingstop here with a $420 price target maintained by Raymond James, which upgraded the stock this morning. Williams getting an upgrade here by CIBC, and UBS upgrading Kennametal. The downgrade side of things, Applied Materials getting hit hard after earnings and getting this downgrade from Summit Insights to boot. I was seeing a couple different analyst notes on the stock, mostly negative. Cisco, day 2 earnings play with a downgrade from HSBC Securities. RBI Restaurant Brands here with an Argus downgrade, and Con Edison being downgraded by BofA Securities. What's your look, guys?
Salesforce.
Oh boy.
Maybe the bottom's in. This is exactly, look, I don't care as much about the upgrade or downgrade. It doesn't hurt that they caught an upgrade. It's been ugly for Salesforce, obviously. I mean, anybody can sort of see that. It's dropping $130 from the highs in a time where the market has been making fresh highs, not a good look. And clearly, you can say all the right things you want about AI and that transforming your business, but ultimately you have to perform. What is interesting, the 200 period on the daily, also on the weekly chart, and this 230 is holding. So we're gonna, barring an abject disaster, we should close this week holding above this prior low at just underneath 200. It's just about $230. So we'll close over 230 on this, and I love the bounce. Probably going to buy it on Monday because it's a weekly chart. So I like to, if I'm looking at that time frame, it hasn't held that level till it closes here. But on Monday, I think this is a good buy. And even if it runs, I don't care. Like you don't have to catch the absolute bottom, but Salesforce looking like a good one off that weekly chart setup.
Yeah, out of those names, I'm looking at AMAT. AMAT's already on my watch list for today. And Applied Materials hitting the mat right off of the earnings report. Yeah. Guidance was the reason why they did pretty well on their EPS and their revenue, but guiding much lower than expected. Guiding the price action a little bit lower as well. Almost a SSR there coming in. Well, actually hit the SSR at those lows, 15%, but bidding back up a little bit higher there. So I'm looking to see this go SSR into the open market. Let's see what it does. 159.88, and with a bit of a downgrade, maybe a little bit of a double whammy on that one there. So I'm watching this one. Going to throw that anchored on it as well. I'm sure we're going to be talking through this one during the rundown, but let's throw that up there right now. We're still sustaining below that, so that's going to be my little bit of an over/under as well. Just using that anchored VWAP as a bit of a guide to show me who may be in charge. Is it buyers? Is it sellers? Sellers are definitely in charge off of the report. Let's see if we see more of the same coming into the open.
All right, a few things to note here. I put it up on the screen, but just keep an eye on Google. It didn't really do much on that, but back to highs on the session this morning, got above that high from yesterday as well. Apparently Sam Altman looking at Chrome if the US government says they have to sell it. OpenAI making a couple of other announcements as well. He also confirmed that they're going to fund and start a Neuralink competitor, similar to Elon's efforts in that space right now. So talking to The Verge right now, it looks like, for Sam Altman. So again, interested in Chrome, apparently.
Yeah, and this, we just saw, who was it, Perplexity?
Yeah.
Yes, looking to take over, double their valuation. I think they raised in July at $18 billion, they offered an unsolicited offer, that is, for $34.5 billion. So that was interesting there. Some more Altman-related headlines here, Brendo. I guess, I don't know if this is an accurate report, but he wants to raise trillions of dollars to build out data centers, reported by The Verge, which is interesting because we've seen him complain constantly that he doesn't have enough access to GPUs. And when he added the image generation into chat, into the free version of chat, he had to basically throttle it down because his GPUs were melting. And we've seen him take more and more capacity from CoreWeave. He praised them for giving, adding to the success of ChatGPT-5. Says without them, they wouldn't have been able to scale. So it's like he can't get his hands on enough of these.
Yeah, someone needs to come up with a way of harvesting that energy, that heat that's generated from these, and then put it back into the
good one, Brenda.
The circle of life in the power world. But yeah, it looks like they're still actually having this conversation. So just be aware. Sam Altman talking to The Verge right now about a whole bunch of things, including Google Chrome, guys. Perplexity was the first one. Now, Mr. Altman wants to jump on the bandwagon.
Of course they do. Like, how could you, if you're OpenAI, if you're Perplexity, like it makes all the sense in the world to you. But if you're Alphabet, you're not seriously wanting to do this. What you want is you want to just go the normal route, make a few concessions, and then go back to business as normal, which is typically what happens. But look, it makes for an interesting story. They'll get a vote for it. Perplexity has I think Perplexity never really had that much of a chance, and the amount they offered, pretty much nobody thought that was a fair value for it. But this makes a heck of a lot of sense, and it does also put attention toward when these guys come up with their own browsers as well, whether you're talking OpenAI and Perplexity. I forget what I already forget what Perplexity calls theirs.
Comment.
Comment. That's what it is.
I wanted to ask, have you used it?
No.
I think it's absolutely amazing.
Is it? Okay, well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm willing to try new things. I'll give it a shot.
I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm not really using it to its full capacity yet, but I think right now it's invite only. So you have to get an invite from someone who already has it. But
with my invite,
I can get you one. Don't worry.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah,
huh?
no, don't worry. I can get you one. But no, the way it works is absolutely amazing. So what I did with it. So I was like, okay, fine. There's a lot of work that it's like grueling work. It's time consuming. It's a lot of copy pasting and using go into my Notion, update PowerPoints in my Google Drive. So I basically told it to do that. And so it started going into my Notion. It started looking for different types of trades. I'm like, look at the best reversions I've taken in the past 3 months. These are the journal entries. So I opened up the tab, and I was like, then populate this PowerPoint with those entries, and I have specifics in there, and then take the images as well, put them on the PowerPoint. So it's just, and it started doing that. Of course, I have to get better with prompting, but it's pretty good. So are they going to be able to get Google Chrome? Maybe, maybe not. I think if they do acquire that, then their reach automatically becomes so much more higher. But I think for the people who are trying out Comet, I want to know, comment in the chat about what you guys think about it. And yeah, exactly. Kurtang Time saying, of course, Obi's using AI to cheat. Hey, listen. AI is just a tool. Exactly. Don't get left behind. That's all I'm going to say.
You have to utilize.
Don't get left behind. A lot of people said that about the internet when it came out.
Of course. Let's be real. Rivian Millionaire, back in my day, we had to do PowerPoints by hand. I love that one, PowerPoints. But, you know, it was the, what was that, the projection thing where you had you do a presentation and you have
the projector,
the projector
with the clear paper, and you had to like
I do that at university. Like it was ridiculous. It's so silly. Yeah. But like just for Google in particular, Alphabet in particular, if you look at this is going to be so obvious. Let's look at the 15-minute here. This is not the 184 on NVIDIA, but effectively at 204.5 for the last few days here, almost the entire week, you've had big resistance. Now, ideally, we were just talking about this. Ideally, you know, on a Friday, you want to be. I'd rather be buying off support most times on a Friday and not taking breakout trades. But that's all the way down here at the 200 level. I'm not sure we can get an opportunity to trade off that level there today. But if we break out above 05, that's more of a join trade than anything else because it's failed breaking out above here multiple times this week, and I wouldn't want to get trapped. Like I don't really think a deal is going to happen, but. It's certainly, it tells you where the space is going that you're getting all of this because let's be real, like Obi said, you don't want to get, you do not want to get left behind at all. This is certainly the future. I think, you know, there'll be a fine, like with regards to their lawsuit, there'll be fines. There will be a change in the way that they have to do the structure a little bit, but I ultimately don't believe that they give up Chrome. I think they find a way to keep it, but that's just, that's my opinion. Ultimately, I think Perplexity would have no chance. OpenAI is pretty interesting. Sam Altman, he's never shy, but they got their own plans as well. I mean, they don't even need Chrome necessarily.
We've gone through so many different browsers. Like I used to use, obviously not a lot of people use Internet Explorer anymore. It's called Edge. Now Edge is significantly better, but if you remember Firefox, there's Opera, there's so many other ones that they just phased out. A lot of people just use Chrome.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo. Some people like to use that for, I guess, if you want to stay a little. Yeah, see, Andre's saying he still uses Firefox. I use both. I actually use technically all three. I use Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. But there's. Comet definitely has more of an edge. Let's say that. And if browsers start becoming something like that, I think we're definitely in for some great times. But yeah, Google, I think it'll eat up any of those fines. It's too big to fail. It's one of those companies.
Exactly.
Even if they give up that browser, like they make their money off of a lot of other things.
There's other ways. It is a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, let's go. Yeah. Before we go back to the desk here, we get a super chat from Barry Dingle. Obi, can we get a oh boy? And what do you and Sunil think of CoreWeave today? And then CoreWeave is 100% going to be on the rundown, so we're going to talk about that. Yeah, and Dan Marino was a monster when he played. Dan Marino was an unbelievable player. Despite being a Bills fan, I have the utmost respect for Dan Marino. It was like legendary quarterbacks in the 80s, man. You had Marino, Jim Kelly, and obviously John Elway in the AFC, and then Montana in the NFC. I was also a really big Warren Moon fan. I felt like I could talk for a long time about how Warren Moon would have been Dan Marino if they'd let him into the NFL when he first started his career, but he had to play in the CFL for his prime because no one wanted him in the NFL, and he was still a Hall of Famer. But thank you very much. We're going to get up to the desk. I'm pretty sure we'll talk a little futures, get into the rundown, where we will address CoreWeave and that lockup expiration.
Get it, Neil. 64.98, that's where we closed out Yes, or 89, excuse me, on the ES September contract. So we're just slightly below that 6,500 point area, but we actually breached it overnight, taking the overnight high, Brendo, to 6,508. So we're going to continue to use 6,500 as our resistance level until we decisively take it on a closing basis. If we sell off for whatever reason, we're looking at that 50-point area, 6,450, Brendo, as support.
If you haven't done so yet, as always, make sure you take a second, jump down to the description of this video. Top link there will get you to that page where you need your email address to sign up for the watch list. You get everything you need to know every single morning sent right to your inbox. What is moving around and a little bit on why, and then you come hang out at 8:30. We get you set for the open every single day. UNH, top of the list here this morning, trying to bounce off that. I mean, the top end of where we went out at after the close yesterday. If you missed it again, Berkshire's 13F showing 1.5 billion notional of UNH picked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Really interesting pickup here. About 5 million shares, $1.5 billion. That's at basically up to the end of June. That's where the data we got ends. It makes it the 18th largest position in the $300 billion equity portfolio that Berkshire has. The purchase is kind of surprising given UNH is nearly down, Brendo, 50% year to date in 2025, with the Department of Justice investigating its Medicare billing practices, as well as the very public negative sentiment that exists around the company, of course, after the assassination of their CEO and then the resignation of the subsequent CEO. The stock, jumped 6% after hours on the news, trading at a PE of just under 12s, which is decades low. The company pulled its 2025 earnings outlook in May as the CEO, the replacement CEO, did resign, Andrew Whitty. The new guidance released last month fell well short of Wall Street's expectations, pressuring shares further, Brendo, and they still face the Department of Justice probe over their Medicare billing practices.
Apologies, guys, if you were just talking about this, but Open flying around here a little bit. CEO search is on. Carrie Wheeler is out as CEO, it looks like, stepping down from the company. So Open just announcing that big, wide range candle there. I'll try and find more details on that. But yeah, Carrie Wheeler out as CEO for Opendoor.
And that was kind of cruising. It's still going to the upside, Open. So for now, at least, it looks still good. Look, you guys were hitting the nail on the head where you're sort of saying this doesn't feel like a Buffett pick, which is fine, because I think we have to get used to the idea that Berkshire's picks are not going to be Buffett picks anymore. And as we're sort of into this cycle, trying to figure out how, if anything, Berkshire might change, well, at least it's a popular value play or dip buy, because this has been a really, really popular name to try to catch the bottom. It's right back to where it held for a long time. So it was here and bouncing off the 290 area for a while. I mean, effectively 280 was the day after buy, but like the 290 for a while and couldn't get through that 320. So at least until proven otherwise, I think you can establish, I think that's kind of like the established range. If it loses the gap, it's around that 290 area where I'd look to be buying based on that daily chart. And resistance is all the way at 320. So you got plenty of room, but it has been trending down this morning as everyone's sort of selling news. That makes sense to me, and that's why I'm expecting maybe go dip buy hunting into 290, because everybody was speculating that this was the company, right? Like almost everybody's like, Buffett's, Berkshire Hathaway is going to put a stake in UNH. We're going to find out at the 13F filing. So a sell the news event here makes a little bit of sense. So that 290 area is where my eyeballs are on UNH.
Yeah, I think something interesting to look out for here that I was watching was this reference low right here. So this was that puke, the highest volume, chunk. This is a 3-hour chart, so we know that it's been selling off the 600, crazy selling, and then continuation through the earnings. Earnings to earnings, we got continued selling, but off of this most recent earnings, we broke this reference low with the most volume in and around, what is that low? 247.13 I have. So we got to a low of 234.60 and then rebid. So technically, I'm like, that's a false break of that significant low if we're going to bid back up like this. And I like that as well to see. So we were ranging pretty sideways. We attempt to break the low of the range. We false break, and then we start ripping aggressively back towards the higher end of the range. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching for some of those 320s to see if they come in and see if this price action can reclaim some of these prior structures here. But yeah, aggressive selling. Am I going to be looking for profit takers along the way? I think so. I think it's definitely something to watch out for. Resistance stays resistance until proven otherwise. I think that's important to note here. Those 320s are definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, that 290, this prior references, this earnings day one high is sitting right there at that 290 as well. So I'm watching that. Let's see what UNH does. I'm looking for that continuation, to be honest. But if it's going to be there, I'd like to see a lot more information, maybe holding some of these levels as well. And it did well to hold that in the after hours. We know that everybody's kind of bidding. All the big boys are getting on board for UNH, and it seems like these are good prices to get in, right? It's been sold off. It's been aggressively sold off on back-to-back bad news, and it seems like it didn't really want to sell off into that reference low with high volume as well. So that's a bit of a false break.
True.
All right, let's continue here with Opendoor just taking out the highs, by the way, guys. There's more volume coming in here for OPEN if anyone is watching that. Again, CEO going to be replaced. We're back to almost highs here on Intel after a huge move late in the day yesterday on the story. If you missed it again, the U.S. government looking to take an equity stake here.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, Brendo. Surging in the aftermarket there. Let's talk about what happened. So it was up to 7% in the aftermarket, and reports the Trump administration is in talks to take a stake in the company. A government investment would certainly help fund the ongoing factory and construction in Ohio, which has now been put on pause, partly because they don't have anybody to buy what they're going to build there. Intel remains one of the only U.S. firms capable of producing the fastest chips domestically, though despite the fact that Taiwan Semi and Samsung also operate U.S. plants. Intel CEO, you'll recall, Lip-Bu Tan, met with Trump earlier this week after the president had previously called for his resignation over alleged China ties. We gave you that information about the Cadence Design Systems pleading guilty, which Lip-Bu was leading at the time. Intel stated that Tan is deeply committed to the U.S. national and economic security, but declined to comment on the stake rumor. Intel's foundry arm, Brendo, still lacks a major customer, which is a key hurdle for their credibility expansion. And in July, Tan announced cancellations of planned plants both in Germany and Poland, as well as a slowdown of the Ohio plant for the exact reasons I just gave you. They're really having trouble finding customers for both their 18A, which is about 3 nanometers, and their 14A, which is similar to Taiwan Semi's 2 nanometer technology, which is the most advanced. The Trump administration is taking stakes or controlling interests in strategic industries. This is not the first time. There's rumors that they're taking 15% claim on NVIDIA and AMD's China chip sales. We know for certain that the Pentagon has a stake in MP Materials and the golden shares in the U.S. Steel to allow Nippon buyout there. So the government really taking an equity stake here, Brendo, in some of these companies, which is kind of novel for the U.S. government.
Absolutely brand new. Just a heads up on Roblox, guys. I don't see anything new on this. This was late in the day yesterday. Louisiana AG officially filing a child protection lawsuit against the company. So downside here for RBLX.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to the downside goes Roblox. We'll get right back to Intel in a second, but now 16% upside on Opendoor as it just broke out through the highs. Now the thing is, with the CEO Elster, this seems positive because a lot of people disliked the CEO, Eric Jackson, one of them. In addition to Keith Rabaus, I can't pronounce his name, one of the co-founders had been calling for her resignation. So this is definitely being taken as good news. It's regained the volume-weighted average price, which I like. It's on my radar. Usually I'm going for the dip into the prior high when it's trending down, but now I got to look for the dip into VWAP. It didn't seem, when that news hit, it felt like before that news hit, it did feel like we're going to get a bit of a dip in Opendoor, and now all of a sudden that just came out of nowhere. Intel, whether or not a stake happens, who cares? Ultimately, the thing is bottomed. It's bottomed at $19 again, and it's been making its way usually to the mid to high 20s, regardless of this pattern. Now all of a sudden, you get another piece of positive news here. My my first look was, okay, we'll dip into the prior highs, 23.60 to 23.8. That's a reasonable range. Now we're breaking it out. So I'm always looking for VWAP because I'm thinking long. We're long all day, more or less, on Intel. I was short once and then went long the rest of the day on Intel, and I'm looking for the same thing. If we hold on to VWAP, then that's where I want to be a buyer. If we're breaking down, as I said, 23.6 is where I want to look, and then there's this 25 break. It looks like a trap on a Friday, but on Intel, you can take a break and risk a few cents, and if it's going to go, it's going to go 15. It can go 15, 20 right away, and then you're just sort of holding on to it. If it fails, make sure you get out quick, because I think it can drop 2% pretty quickly on this stock.
Yeah. Oh boy, I was looking at the anchored VWAP on this one. Now I have a lot of charts, or I guess lines on my Intel, so please excuse that. Not really significant today. The only thing of significance today I'm looking at is going to be this red anchored VWAP from the event yesterday, the news that came out. You see that large volume spike. So from that event, anybody who's sitting long on average, sitting at these prices, anybody who's, I guess the average float is sitting at these prices, long or short, I guess. Yeah, I think something to look out for. It's holding that anchored VWAP. It's holding that intraday VWAP as well. That 25 break might come in aggressively coming into the open. We only have about 15 minutes into the open. So I like the story. We kind of talked about how it's been building up as well. Going back to the weekly chart, we're breaking out of multi-week highs, almost at the multi-year consolidation high at 27.5. So let's see if the story unfolds. I think with the U.S. government taking a stake in their own chip builder, I think there's going to be some interesting action there. Basically, a vote of confidence from the U.S. government.
That's what it is.
This is basically like, okay, we've been consolidating and maybe even accumulating on top of 19 for the past few years. And then now finally this could be the potential move right there. Like I said, it's been a very healthy and strong stock for the most part. We see that 01, we did get a strong flush where we died out for about a few years, for many years, over 10 years, it went sideways, and then we finally caught that bid. But again, if you're looking for another 10 years of sideways action, I don't know if that's going to be there. But this aggressive push through some of these weekly highs, let's see if there's continuation. That's the simple thing I'm looking for on the intraday. Just using that anchored VWAP as a little bit of a guide, using those pre-market prices. It's coming up into that 25 right now. So we might even violate that before the open. So got to watch out for this one. It does seem very liquid and very tight at times, and it can definitely coerce you into getting some size. But then there'll be moments where it'll just snap 30, 40 pennies. Yeah. So be ready for that. Yeah, it's one to watch out for.
It's 100% it's a Jekyll and Hyde stock. Yeah. Because when it's doing its range bound thing, it'll sit there within 1%, which is great. Like 1% move is fine. It'll sit there and it'll be really easy to trade technically. And then all of a sudden it'll flip a switch and it turns into like just a regular Momo stock every now and then. So that can definitely happen here today. One that is, I don't know if it's broken, but in the chip space, that guidance, yuck, AMAT. This one looks, it looks a little heavy. We'll talk about the earnings here. It wasn't the earnings, it was a guide.
Yeah, looking definitely broken here. If you zoom out onto a higher time frame, you'll see what I mean. But back below 175, we're all the way to 160 this morning, trying to hold on to long-term support. I mean, everything in red you saw there, on all of the red here is a negative analyst note this morning and price target movement typically to the downside. So not much good to say here.
No, the current quarter was good, but the guide was ridiculously low, Brando. And there's a lot of sympathy placed to the downside. Lam Research, ASML, keep your eye on those. EPS, guys, came in at 248. The street wanted 236. Bottom line beat, check mark. Revenue, 7.3 billion. The street was looking for 7.22. So an easy beat on the top and bottom line. But that's kind of where it all falls apart because their Q4 guidance here, they're guiding 211 in EPS. The street wanted 239, a big miss. An even bigger miss on revenue, 6.7 billion. The street is looking for 7.34, so almost $1 billion miss there on that top line, with shares falling well over 10% in after-hours trading. CEO Gary Dickerson flagged increased uncertainty and lower visibility, Brendo, from macroeconomic and policy factors as a reason. The China business was also hardest hit. They're saying their capacity, digestion, and non-linear demand is expected to pressure results for several more quarters, and there's a huge backlog for licenses for these exports to China for AI as well as semiconductor exports, and it's a 30-year backlog, 30 months for some of the more pressing things. But a lot of these ones have been waiting over 30 years. I did a story on this on TikTok. Check out our TikTok account. Trump's tariffs could also be about an issue, Brendo. It could double the prices of some imported chips unless buyers build in the U.S. and they see risk as much. They see risk as much of manufacturing still remains in Asia. So a lot of these imports that they bring in to assemble could be subject up to 100% tariffs.
This is, if you look at a higher time frame of this chart, definitely lagging as far as the semiconductor. I mean, it's not semiconductor, but as far as that group is concerned, yes, it's had a pretty good run since the lows going back to April, but definitely lagging some of the other big ones. Just real quick, a visual here for Berkshire's movement on that 13F. Just to give a little more perspective as to the significance of this, UNH is way down here. So 0.6% of the overall portfolio, adding, as we said, about 5 million shares. And then if you look at the top end there, Andre, thank you. If you look at the top end here, even with a 6.6% reduction in Apple, still significantly above AXP, guys. So still by far their #1 holding.
Still staying pat. I think UNH is interesting because it's the new blood in there, and it gives you the sense that it could be something different coming out of Berkshire and maybe a different flavor and not necessarily a Warren Buffett pick. But everything about AMAT looks bearish, right? Relative strength to the rest of the chips. Lose the 50 period, lose the 200, guide poorly, uncertainty about China when some other chip names are getting a little bit more certainty in the last couple of days and weeks. So everything about it doesn't look good. I was just saying to Obi, this could pop to $170 and still structurally look like a short on the daily chart. So there's a lot of ways to be able to play this. Pre-market high, which was also aftermarket levels at 165. If it breaks 165, wait for it to test and get into the high 160s and 170, and then that also becomes a fade level. While we're on the topic of chips, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out what's been going on all week in NVIDIA, which is have a look at 184. It's not just this week, the last couple of days of last week too. 184, just cannot seem to get past that wall. Any move above 183, looking short into 184 on NVIDIA as well. Nothing, it doesn't really have anything to do with AMAT, but it's in the chip space, so why not? And then it's also holding the bottom of the range, just underneath $180 into 179.5. Complete range-bound trading in NVIDIA. So I only want to wait for it to get to those levels and then play in the other direction in NVIDIA. But AMAT, that's going to be a short the pop situation.
Guys, so VinFast delivered over 35,000 EVs in Q2 of 2025, making a 172% jump from last year. That brings their first half to more than 72,000 EVs, up over 200% year over year. With stronger sales usually in the second half, they're on pace to easily double 2024's 97,000 units. They're also crushing it on two-wheelers, with nearly 70,000 e-scooters and bikes sold in Q2, up 400%, over 400% from a year ago, and with gas-powered two-wheelers being phased out in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City by 2026, the growth potential looks huge. You can find them on the Nasdaq under the ticker VFS. So yeah, no, AMAT, is it broken? I don't know. The chart is definitely breaking some sort of trends here on a higher time frame. Just stepping up to the weekly right here, we can see that we've been on a bit of a nice bid since April. Again, that April bid coming in pretty nicely, giving us about a 60% move from those lows to the more local highs into that 200, but a bit of a false break of that 200. We only get to 201.11s, just a little bit above this prior structure here, which was just shy of that 200 as well. So breaking back down 162 halves as of right now, so definitely breaking that uptrend, but I'm going to be looking for a potential continuation. Let's see what happens to AMAT here. I'm going to throw on that anchored view up and see where we're sitting at relative to that as well. There you go, 165.27. So yeah, holding it as resistance as of right now, with pre-market highs being right underneath that 164.73. So I think this is going to be an interesting interesting one coming in off of the open. That aggressive bid from April finally catching some strong selling, and about almost $50 down from off of the highs there. So an aggressive push, almost 15% to the pre-market lows, but to the current price, it's not quite there yet. So maybe looking for, it's about 14% as of right now. So maybe looking for that extra percent drop down coming in off the open for it to go SSR, and let's see, do the buyers step back in as they have been over the past multiples of weeks, or is it finally time for us to sell off a little bit and take this guidance a little seriously, and maybe we can get along with some profit takers on the day today?
All right, HIM's downside after the close in a big way yesterday. We are trying to regain some significant levels here, though. Not only the low from yesterday, but a higher time frame support area. Also, if you missed it again, FTC going to probe this subscription practices of this company. Essentially, you can't cancel if you do sign up for something.
They make it really hard, Brendo, and they continue to charge you too. We'll talk about that. So the FTC has actually been investigating Hims and Hers Health for over a year, and they were focusing on whether it makes canceling subscriptions too difficult. No formal accusations of wrongdoing have been made so far by the FTC, but Hims did acknowledge it last year that it was voluntarily cooperating with the probe, but has not provided any specifics on the inquiry, so we don't have any official information, just what's been leaking in these reports. Customers claim, though, that the company does continue to charge credit cards after the cancellation, and they create unnecessary hurdles to end these subscriptions. The complaints really did surface on social media, and the Better Business Bureau, who actually sent letters to Hims and Hers to basically receive a response, which they did not. The FTC is evaluating further whether the company's practices violate the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, which mandates a simple termination process. Just to give you an idea, Hims serves 2.4+ million subscribers. They charge them monthly fees for telehealth services and prescriptions for conditions like obesity, hair loss, erectile dysfunction, and advertising tactics and cancellation policies, Brendo, are part of the FTC purview, so well within their scope of powers.
Again, that was after the close yesterday, so I mean, it's not terribly active right now. I'm just having a look at this TIVC as well, a little one you might be interested in actually for the midday here. 620,000 share float.
Love it.
Again, 620,000 share float, just doubled, pulling back a little bit here on a government contract, guys, for TIVC.
Yeah, that's a small float. Just quickly, we have some imbalances out. It's a Friday, so obviously options expiration, some bigger imbalances than normal. Rivian, 3 million to sell, as you can see. NVIDIA, 1.4 million to the sell side. Apple stands out, but a small sell, 900,000. UA, 1 million to the buy. UNH is a 600,000 buy. That's pretty sizable. Microsoft and Amazon, small sell imbalances. So a little bit, it's not mixed. It's mostly big cap sell. So you might have seen a bit of a tick downside. And shout out to Russ. I can't even pronounce that one, but I do like what I see here. 500 likes only. Push the like button, everybody. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's get it out there. We'll get through as many names as possible. Anything we don't cover, make sure you let us know about it in the chat, because we'll try to get to everything that we can, whatever we're trading and whatever you guys are interested in. So those are the imbalances. As far as Hims goes, if you have a look at the direct GLP names and not these guys. You could be up 10% from the recent bottom on Eli Lilly. You could be up 20% from some recent consolidation on Viking Therapeutics. I haven't looked at Novo. And in that same time period, you'd be down almost 10% in Hims, which is broken trend. And I said this a couple days ago, think we're headed down to 40 on Hims. I don't know if anything's really changed. I like the bounce that it has in here. If you're stair-stepping down, I'm always thinking short into prior resistance levels. So whether that's 47.5 or 48, I think you're splitting hairs. Both of those look like opportunities to try to fade on Hims for me.
Yeah, I think Hims not really doing too much. We did get that aggressive selling in the after hours and a bit of consolidation that was nice and tight, but reclaiming about 50% and just hanging out in and around there. So I don't know if this is Hims or Hers, but a bit of a flat action on Hims on the day. So keep it on watch, but definitely not necessarily the top names here. But bigger trend is to the downside. Maybe we see a little bit more of that.
Intel, guys, about to take out the high from after the close. Actually just did, taking out the high here from after the close yesterday for INTC. Real quick, Joby downside right now. Huge pop, though. Got all the way up to 1950 almost. On note, they completed their first piloted eVTOL flight. Sharif and I were just discussing the simple fact that you could come to the airport here in Toronto, which is an absolutely disaster to get in and out of, and walk off a plane, walk onto one of these and be home in 10 or 15 minutes.
The dream, Brendo.
I would pay a lot for that.
Yeah, I would in a second.
Yeah.
Yes, hit that bang button because anybody who's been in Toronto traffic knows the anger. But let's talk about what happened here. Successful completion of a piloted electric vertical takeoff and landing, short for eVTOL, or that eVTOL is short for that. Flight between two public airports, Brendo, in an FAA-controlled airspace for the first time. It was a 12-minute flight. It covered 10 nautical miles between Marina and Monterey, California. It included a 5-minute holding pattern above the Monterey airport and interacted with other air traffic. It really kind of demonstrated the aircraft's operational flexibility and the capability for full ground support. So not a bad look there. I just want to give some people information on how this company's been doing. The U.S. test adds to recent global progress, including a flight in Dubai. They're also partnering with L3 Harris to develop military applications, and they acquired Blade Air Mobility to expand their urban air transport. I like the direction of the company. Full disclosure, I'm invested.
Sign me up as well. About 40 seconds to go here to the open on a Friday. Remember, 10 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment, inflation data, 3:30 this afternoon, the big Trump meeting, guys.
Sir, and the boys both like Joby, but Joby doesn't like the volume-weighted average price. It just lost it. With only 20 seconds to go, CoreWeave caught a pretty sizable bid going into this opening print. Resistance theoretically at 100 on a Friday, and then the 104 levels. If you're looking to sell, I think you got to sometimes sit out a little bit of an SSR bounce, a little bit of it's a sell the news event as well, which would be buying it back up. But the bell brought to you by VinFast, VFS on the Nasdaq. Scan that QR code. And Adara, let's ring it. All right, there we go. So the CoreWeave, as we said, catching a bit of a bid off of the open. Lockup expiration obviously is right now, so a bunch of holders are able to sell their shares and unload into the market. But it's been dropping every single day going into this. The other thing that just happened is, NVIDIA starting to drop out. 179 on NVIDIA has been the support all week long. I'm going to park myself. I just realized I didn't have any bids. I'm going to park myself in front of that bid in case we get a chance. Intel fails 25 quick, and look at it, already start to come back in here. So Intel is dumping off. And one name that we forgot to get to, Figma. If Figma breaks 76, that's an all-time, well, I mean, it's only been around for a week, so it's an all-time low. It will be a flat bottom break. It is also catching a bid. CoreWeave, big-time move to the upside. And also another one we're watching here for a dip, UNH. Breaking 300, it's around that 290 area where I'm looking for some support on United Health. But first things first, want to catch a curl in CoreWeave.
Oh yeah, a little bit of a curl happening here on a few of these names that gapped down, Neil. So yeah, definitely going to be watching for some of that action here as we come in. AMAT catching a bit of a bid. There goes WULF. We were talking about WULF. WULF is howling to the upside right now, $9.05. False break of that 25 on that initial push on Intel. New holdings as well with earnings coming up to some fresh prices as well. Joby taking a bit of a dive there, back down 1830s. But yeah, this one, again, up on some flights there, but pulling back in pretty aggressively as of right now. So yeah, let's see what happens. Getting stopped out of that circle. I did give it a couple of points there. Circle catching a little bit of an aggressive bid coming into the open here. Testing some of prior day's levels, 143s incoming. We've been selling off since earnings. Is this the day we finally catch a bid? I have no idea, but I'm going to try to be patient and try to get involved as well in some of these moves as of right now. But yeah, let's take a quick look and see if it catches any sort of a sell at all today. But yeah, Circle's been selling off pretty nicely. Markets to the downside as well.
Yeah, the market's coming. Remember, it was a bunch of sell imbalances and all the Mag 7 names. I'm into HIMS showing the pop, but I got to show you, because I'm sure a lot of people are looking at what's going on with CoreWeave right now. Absolutely flying. It could get to 100 pretty quickly in here. That's looking incredibly impressive. Might have missed an opportunity. I'm just going to show you HIMS. I'll go back to CoreWeave, because I know that's what you guys are probably more interested in, like I said. I missed an opportunity to get some scalp trades out here on HIMS is it immediately failed through 46, couldn't break out the pre-market high, but popped into 40, 50, 45.4 and now coming back up. Should have been quicker, but I was all over eyeballing this CoreWeave. $100 could come into play, but it's trying to curl here at 98. So this could be the first available opportunity, looking for it to make some kind of a turn to look for. The short, NVIDIA is nowhere near that 179 that I wanted. UNH is bouncing. It's down at 296. I'm looking for closer to 290 bucks for the dip buy on that bad boy. We'll see. But now, right now, CoreWeave is looking pretty intense here. Want to get that for the curl. My stop on HIMS is just going to be the high. I'm short at 90. The high is about the quarter mark. If it breaks through there, I'm only risking about 30 to 40 cents on this because it's such an early play. I never want to just be sitting off guard the whole way.
Yeah, no, I'm watching this circle kind of slow down in front of. I'm giving it to let's say in and around 145. I'm willing to try a few times there on the push. Let's see if that potentially comes in. Market coming in pretty aggressively, and so is CoreWeave now. A bit of a size there on that 97s gets taken out instantly. Let me throw up some tape for you guys here to follow along. CRWV on the Nasdaq right here, and let's throw up some of that size filter as well, so we can see any sort of lottage that may come up and show up there. So 97s had about 300 lots. Nothing too crazy in terms of what this thing kind of does over time, but yeah, let's take a quick look at some of these other names as well, because that's definitely not the only things those are definitely not the only things that are moving around. Joby landing pretty safely back into its reference prices here. So yeah, that flight was only about 12 minutes, and it seems like this flight was just as short there on Joby Aviation, pulling right back in. So beautiful price action on that one. Beautiful reversions as well. Let me pull up my my basket here and take a look at what else I had on watch. So new holdings, that's the one I was talking about here. They had earnings as well, nice gap up, and that continuation coming in off of the open. So good look there. And for day twos, I had something a little nice on watch with nice limited here. Nice price action to the downside. I'm looking for something just as nice on the day today, but looking for that reference prior day low to crack before I get involved here, just to show me that sellers are involved. But the thing is, this thing doesn't normally do that much volume. You can see the average volume. When I looked at it yesterday, it was even less. It was about less than 100K, and we did multiples of millions of shares traded on the prior day. So I'm like, all right, well, this could be something significant. But right now, only about 30K. This was an earnings catalyst.
Okay.
So normally does not do any volume. Did significantly more yesterday. I have here 5 times relative volume, 6 times depending on how you're measuring it. But yeah, that's not really doing anything right now. Intel, I was looking for that 25 breakout, and oh boy, a bit of a false break of that 25. But guess what, Neil? It's coming up into that anchored VWAP as of right now. So let's see if that anchored VWAP holds as a bit of support. We can see that 24 level multiple times, 1, 2, 3, and now is it going to do it for the 4th time, holding as a little bit of a support? And let's see if that bid can show up on top of 24 once again on Intel. So that's what I'm watching. WULF as well. WULF, we were watching some of these miners here. WULF, right? Yeah, exactly. I thought that.
Yeah, make sure it's TeraWulf, not the other one.
Yeah. So, so a little bit of a shake and bake off of the open. So again, aggressive strength yesterday, coming into today, we're seeing nothing too crazy. Bit of a shake and bake. Opening range highs at $9.10, and we've broken back down. Let's see if we can take out some of those opening range lows. Bit of a bid here on 844.
Here goes UNH.
Yeah, what is UNH up
93 looks like, no, sorry, check that. 95 was the bottom on UNH. It couldn't really, you wanted it, I shouldn't say you, I should say I wanted it breaking 95 so it could get closer to the 90 range to try to be into that one for the bounce play. But it looks like it might be going without. I'm willing to join if it can hold the volume weighted average price for some time. Open new well, they're searching for a new CEO, which many think is a positive because you had multiple, you had some shareholders and actually the founder of the company looking for the ouster of the CEO. So seen as a positive, but it's starting to give it up a little bit here on open. Underneath VWAP, not looking too healthy at all. HIMS tried the shake and bake. It wicked the high. I'm like, well, you want to wick the high and I like the structure of the trade, I'm jumping right back in. A little bit better of a price. Remember, we had it first at basically about VWAP. Now it's trying to break down into those lows. Where did my 45.50 bid go? Must have canceled it. We'll throw that back in there. See if that one can fade a bit. But CoreWeave is getting support. All of a sudden, buy the rumor, sell the news. And a lockup expiration sometimes means that's going to be a buy. And it is super strong heading into that 100 level. That's the first place, other than it just breaking through VWAP. I think I'd want to be looking for that short trade. Nothing yet on NVIDIA, but it's still tanking.
Yeah, it's coming into some of those interesting levels.
Look, let's be real. All week long, you've been two places. Long when it gets underneath 180 and short when it gets into 184. So you can't be short into 184, but in a couple of minutes, you're probably going to be able to be long into this sucker. So yeah, I like NVIDIA down here. I'm already bidding underneath 180 in front of the 179 level. So I'm ready to go if this one wants to give it to me. And I know everyone's excited about the government stake in Intel.
Boy.
But if they were so excited, they sold it at the open. But it didn't bounce where I wanted. But it is bouncing. I wanted it way down here at 236, but it's back above VWAP. I'm willing to take a secondary break here. That's fine. If 25 fails at the open, I don't mind taking 25 after the open when you've shaken some people out. It's Friday. We expect shakeouts on the initial breaks. I'd rather take it the second time through than that first one, which is oftentimes a bit of a trap. So positive meeting with the president earlier for Lipbu. And now potential government stake. It's up 4% into a tanking market and trying to catch a bid. So relative strength here for Intel.
Yeah, I think, again, Intel definitely wanted to watch out for. I got close eyes on NVIDIA, Neil, and yeah, as you astutely pointed out, bit of a range over the past couple of days. Let's see if those 179s and some change can come in. 180.50s currently right now, and when you're looking at, if you're looking at the Mag 7 as well as the market here, you can see some aggressive selling. So selling definitely in charge. Amazon with a strong sell, Tesla with a strong sell, back below 335s as of right now as well. TQ's trading below 94s. Apple can't really get past prior day's highs as of right now. Opening range high coming in at 234s. We're trading 233s, about to push into opening range low as well. Softy catching a bit of a sell. That 520 level we pointed out on Softy. And I remember there's a super chat earlier about CoreWeave. So yeah, let's take a quick look at CoreWeave and we can talk about what that is up to as of right now here.
You just froze?
Sorry, did I freeze? No, I did not freeze. CoreWeave, CRWV. Thank you for the super chat earlier. Sorry we didn't get around to talking about it right away, but we're going to do that right now once this page loads for me here. UNH, okay, CRWV. Let's see if that can show up now. There it is. Boom, 3-minute chart. Nice little top happening at that 98.50 mark here. So yeah, today's the day we do that lockout. I guess the lockout period is over, so people can finally sell some of their shares. But you can see we've been selling off into this day today. Already doing relative volume in the open, but aggressive selling coming in. And yeah, let's see if more sellers come in off of that. I guess lockout expiry. As of right now, 180's coming in on NVIDIA, Neil, and I got stopped out once again on Circle, so I guess
UNH
Circle will probably push that 145 as of right now. Oh boy, this market's tanking.
Well, the market might be tanking, but United Health is flying higher. I leave the puns to Obi. If you guys can come up with a good United Health pun, I'm more than willing to say it. Let's see if we can't get picked up at the volume-weighted average price in here. I know you've got something.
Would you say that the stock looks healthy? Not to be like the most, on the nose here, but right now I would say it's certainly ensuring a greater upside move. I would say that as well. And I'm not too Sir Andrew witty, but I'm doing what I can here. Also referencing the old CEO.
I got some competition there.
No, first of all, you lost. You got some
all
competition.
right, fine.
I'm just saying, Obi, I love you, but it's a dare's world, and sometimes we just happen to be living in it, everybody. No, the market, I don't know, the market's not necessarily tanking, but it is pretty heavy down here on the bid if you're looking at it. NVIDIA is tracking down toward 179. UNH is looking pretty impressive here. A lot of people in the chat are looking at the same resistance at $320. Really wish we had gotten 290, but if ifs and buts, candy and nuts, and you can wish all you want. Doesn't matter. Market doesn't care what you want. I want Intel to break through 25. It doesn't want to break through 25. You can't have a breakout trade if it doesn't get through the price. I want HIMS to flush. It just seems like it's trying to get underneath VWAP again. I like the fact that it's holding underneath 46, but I haven't really been able to get any fills up above the 46 level for myself. To be short, CoreWeave still catching a bid. It is super strong today on CoreWeave, at least off the open. Remember, the expiration does happen. Lockup it was overnight last night, but effectively now people can sell, and it's just been buying. Part of that, its SSR was down over 10% multiple days in a row, 20% actually a couple of days ago. So this was sold off heavily going into this expiration. So you're getting some profit taking, you're getting the buyers come in, the dip buyers coming in. The 100 level is just the tip of the iceberg. 104 is where this thing failed early in the afternoon. So that's where I'm going to be eyeballing on CoreWeave. And the other one, Figma, is actually really close to breaking down. I've got my order set to go. If Figma breaks 76, look, it hasn't been around a while, so obviously this is an all-time low if it breaks 76, but that's looking weak. We're going to have Figma if it breaks that 76 level. Not as big volume, but certainly looking pretty good for a trade.
Yeah, I think I'm still watching the Circle, man. The Circle catching a bid here aggressively, and still got NVIDIA on watch. Still hasn't broken that 180. That 180 is holding as a little bit of a bid as of right now. But we're coming into the close of the first 15-minute candle of the day. About 30, roughly about 30 seconds, I guess, left for that to potentially come in as of right now. So yeah, you know what? I want to try this one more time here. Let me just get in some of my stop orders as well. Probably faster to type some of this. There's a I-140 or 40. Okay, cool. That's interesting. So we'll just let that one potentially cook here on
Let him cook.
Circle. Let's see, what is that high? You know what? I'll give it a few more pennies. Give it the risk that it deserves, Obi. Come on. Let's go. Where's the next trade? 180, 179s and change, Neil. This is the spot that NVIDIA has been catching a little bit of a bid back-to-back days. Let's see if we can trade a little bit of the range here. Let's see. Ultimate low of this range is sitting at 178.80s.
Yeah.
So that's about $1 away. You got to give it to the range low at least.
Yeah, I have the three-quarter mark set. 178, like 74, 75. Well, I mean, I guess I just told you where my stop is, which is, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's the range. Dude. It's the range bottom. Anybody can see it on the chart. Like, it's like whatever. It's like when you have like high of the day is your stop, and everyone knows on like some small cap. Oh, when it breaks it, everyone can look at the same chart and see it. HIMS is finally starting to break down underneath the volume weighted average price, and as we said, NVIDIA tracking well toward, now we're through 180 bucks. Am I sitting exactly? Oh, Reggie Jackson. I'm sitting at 179 Reggie Jackson, if anyone's curious as to where my bid is. I could go to the other side of the 50 level, but now you're getting down to where we expect, where I'm looking for it to catch a bit of a bid. I might have missed my shot at CoreWeave, but as this is going down, see, we're in bizarro world, everybody. The market's at the lows, NVIDIA's tanking, and Intel's breaking out. It's bizarro world, Jerry.
What the hell is even
You know that. Well, okay, we probably don't actually know that one. But breaking out the highs, I'm trying to get it early because the actual high here is 25.12. So I'm trying to catch a bit of a dip, like fail that high, pick me up, and then we'll see if the secondary break on Intel is better than the initial break above this price. Aftermarket tops right around 24.80 I want to be getting out of this thing. So Intel still relatively strong, HIMS still falling. No fill for me on NVIDIA. Did I miss this?
It's still chopping.
No, it's
around.
still,
it
it's
can
still heading
definitely
down.
sell off a little bit more.
It's still heading down a little bit.
I started getting involved a little bit, but I obviously don't have everything. I want to get into more a little bit lower if it can show me. But yeah, just got to be careful, I guess, buying into falling knives. The market's coming in as well here, so I'm watching that. But let me know in the chat what you guys are trading. Yeah, Midwest saying just YOLO NVIDIA here. Yeah, I don't know. That's not how we do business around here. But yeah, no. Coming into the range lows, let's see if those range lows actually hold. We already defined what the ultimate range low is at 178.80s. We're still $1 away from that. So again, keeping that in mind, the bid can can potentially come in anywhere here, or it can not come in at all. Maybe today's the day, Neil, that we crack the range lows and break down aggressively.
True.
Right? You never know that. So this is, again, this is not the first day this has done this. This has done this multiple days in a row. And funny enough, you know the just like you know about the dual slit experiment, right? The dual slit experiment in physics. If you observe something, it'll change in behavior. So we are observing this, and I'm pointing it out aggressively.
Yeah, but the market is
the range
exactly
low,
like
but
that for obvious reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, because participants will,
Well, you know what else is maybe not obvious, but it can be now for Canadian traders that are sophisticated, and that's Beta Pro by Globex Canada has just launched 6 new triple leveraged ETFs, offering 3 times bull and 3 times bear exposure to the S&P TSX 60, semiconductors, and U.S. Treasuries. Even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st this year. Those ETFs also employ currency hedging to seek to neutralize U.S. dollar exposure, providing performance that may more accurately reflect the underlying U.S. equity indices. If you're a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca 3x daily to learn more. Scan the QR code you see out in front of you. So a lot of things happening. Market breaking down through the lows. NVIDIA, we've already gone over 178.74 pretty much is my stop. Intel trying to break out through the highs. It broke by 1 cent, the pre-market high. I didn't take that. I'm buying the dip on the fail of the break to see if we can't hold on to the trend line. HIMS is coming in for a reload on the short, but NVIDIA is churning toward that 178.70. I have added nothing to this. I need to see it bounce off the level I want it to hold. And if it does do so, then I go into more long. If it doesn't, then I just quickly stop out. While this is happening, CoreWeave is almost at $100. Almost at $100. This is where I want it. This is the first place I want to short CoreWeave, is if it fails that 100 level with the expiration, of course, of the lockup period. So here comes that NVIDIA. This is held all week, but just because it held every single day doesn't mean it has to hold today.
And we're pointing it out to thousands of people today as well.
Well, I'm not really, I don't know. I've never been much of the it matters all that much. NVIDIA's done already 27 million shares at the open. I don't think it matters, an iota. You can say where your stop is. You can say what you're doing. I've never really felt that changes much of anything. Like, I'll tell everybody where my stop is. And it just ran 74. So I'm at, you're going to wick the bottom? Maybe it'll wick the bottom. I'll zoom in for you guys. There we go. That's way better. If you can hold this, maybe get back through 79. If it gets back through 79, that's a little bit better. But it went down to 66. And as far as I'm concerned, that's underneath that support level. It needs to regain 79 or this thing is still falling. All the while, CoreWeave did just break the 100. I am reloading short on HIMS. I want CoreWeave to get back down through the 100 level, and then I would take a shot at it to the short side. Ooh, that was fast. NVIDIA just regained 179. New low is 178.66.
Yep.
Well, it's put up or shut up for this stock. And wow, CoreWeave is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, dude. CoreWeave is going. Circle is going. Oh, boy.
CoreWeave is nuts. It's still flying, absolutely flying. Got to slap the fail on. Oops, I'm on the wrong page. Slap the fail on NVIDIA. Today is not the day for that stock. Market's looking a little bit too heavy, but I'm not going to fight it. That was the level I liked. Unless it can hold above it, you're waiting for something much, much deeper in here. But this market is looking nasty, but we're only down 0.5%. Like, NVIDIA's falling a lot, but really, when you take a step back, like 0.5% on the Nasdaq isn't that bad, and the Nasdaq has a chance to be able to bounce off of yesterday's 830 lows, right? Like, this is where we were at when we got the PPI number, and it caught a bit of a bid. So this is a spot. I think this is the spot if you're looking for a long to be able to try to catch it. And if you're looking long, and the place I'm looking was going to be NVIDIA, so I'm basically going to stick with this one. Nasdaq's at the level. NVIDIA's still kind of holding that range. I'd rather be getting in and out of it so I'm not just hanging on to it on the way to the downside. Every time it reclaims 179 and the Nasdaq holds, I'm going to be looking for the long down here. And CoreWeave just broke back under $100 if you're interested.
Yeah, this this circle stopped me out once again here, and that 145 clip just came in, just a bit of a test there. I think the high of the day is, 144.95, so coming in. I gave it a couple tries there. I'm going to be a little bit more patient now. That 145 was the area that I wanted to risk against, but I did get a little too aggressive at some lower prices there off of some of those turns, but I'm going to wait for this 145 to come in because clearly the VWAP long is definitely there on this name and pushing aggressively to the upside here. Nothing too crazy on the 145 here. Let me pull up the book here so you guys can follow along with me. New York. 135. All right, cool. So sorry, 145. Let's see if we can break through that 145. Again, buyers are stepping up. Higher highs, higher lows. Pre-market highs have been taken as well, and maybe a little bit of a downtrend break back to the upside on a higher time frame. So I do have to respect that. If the bid is going to come in aggressively, I do have to kind of be wary of that. And again, distinctly different from the rest of the market here as the market just tanks to the downside. So the Qs, sure, I know that someone in the back was definitely looking for the Qs short on the day today. Hopefully he has that, and that's coming into fruition very, very nicely. Oh boy. 178's got taken out. So we break that range finally after a couple of weeks of holding on NVIDIA. Where will we stop? Nobody knows, but the market's still selling off here.
Not here. That's definitely not stopping there. That's the thing. It's down through 178.74, so you know I'm out of that bad boy. It does not look very good for the market at all. I see Mark off in the chat just said, why is NEO dumping? No particular story NEO, but it has been trending down. What I would suggest everybody, if you are interested, if you have a name that you want us to talk about or you're curious as to what's happening, make sure you type $ in front of the symbol when you're asking or putting it into the chat every single time. And then we can see, right now it's Opendoor leading the way, UNH, Palantir, Hood, CoreWeave. This is just what all of our viewers in the chat are interested in. So make sure you hit the subscribe, because to be in the chat, you've got to be a subscriber, and then jump in there, throw all your symbols in. You can see it real time. I see Webull, Tesla, AI, UNH is going to be there in play, but Opendoor topping that list. We're going to go over to Adara, and when we come back, we'll talk some Opendoor, because that actually could be breaking out.
I'm seeing a report here on INTC with regards to, I guess, the source of the funding for the Trump administration's reported play. Again, this was reported by Bloomberg yesterday. The Trump administration considering, basically, I guess, the U.S. taking a stake in Intel. Apparently, they're eyeing using the CHIPS Act fund for this Intel stake. So again, seeing reports that the Trump administration is considering using the CHIPS Act fund for their Intel stake. Again, in about 5 minutes, I just want to remind you guys, we will be having these University of Michigan consumer sentiment prints. So we'll get sentiment and then the inflation aspects as well, the 5-year and 1-year inflation expectations. Back to you.
Very much for that.
That's interesting. The CHIPS Act fund money for a stake in a company. Okay. That seems a little... That's interesting. Because all that money didn't get rolled out. We know that didn't find its way to all the firms, but that seems like it's not the intention. Look, it doesn't. You know what? It doesn't really matter. You can analyze it all you want. I can't imagine that's going to be change much of the litmus. It's like a see it. I'll believe it when I see that the money's actually coming in. So you're back above. I'm waiting till it gets back above that support level that we like on that 15-minute chart. We've now held 178 on NVIDIA, so I'm jumping back in for sure. I know a lot of people were talking about Opendoor and Palantir, so I just wanted to show we got back into NVIDIA. But Opendoor, trying to catch VWAP, this is broken trend. Forget about the low. It's broken the trend line on Opendoor. CEO is out. They're doing a search. Shareholders seem to like that. The stock is up 10%. Tudor Investments picked it up in their 13F filing, and it's got a 20-something-ish% short float. It's over 20%, 22, 23, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And heck, those numbers are all usually pretty old anyways. All right, so we're into open. It held VWAP for the first time since, pun intended, the open.
Oh boy. Yeah, maybe a little bit of potential reversion coming in here on NVIDIA. 180 is VWAP, Neil. So let's see if we can push into that 180. 129 is holding pretty well. So we not necessarily false broke, but coming back into some of those prior levels here. So that's what I'm watching. If it can have me, then I'll take it here. But if not, that's perfectly fine as well. As we get a little choppy in and around that 179, as we pull into, I guess I'm looking at some of the EMAs. I'm looking at some of the other stuff as well here. But yeah, if that 179 doesn't really hold, I don't necessarily want to be here for too long. Give it some more time to kind of consolidate. But oh boy, that circle definitely came in. That 145 false break there. So I've got to continue watching that one to see if that potentially comes into fruition here. Oh boy, so I got to definitely change my sizing on this as that comes in. I did punch in through that 179 hold. No on NVIDIA here as we chop around this 179 as of right now. Market taking a little bit of a bounce, Neil. We're coming into that number as well just in about 2 minutes. So yeah, going to stay a little wary of that, and maybe we get some market moving action off of, I think, what was it, Michigan sentiment, I think? But yeah, I got to make sure and check what that was. But I think there is a 10 a.m. number, as Brendo pointed out earlier this morning.
Oh, you're right.
Catching a bit of a bounce here as of right now.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a bounce for sure, but the market's still looking overall really heavy. UNH came in pretty nicely just there. Came in and almost, when it broke the volume weighted average price, I did start thinking about the 290 again because it started to go trend down, but UNH is now resuming uptrend. This is just, it's like a chop fest in this stock. Under VWAP, over VWAP, reject the low, reject the high. No clear direction on UNH just yet, except for sideways. So until I see something a little bit more defined, I don't necessarily want to jump into it. As far as open goes, open to me broke that little bit of a downward trend that it set at the open. If it loses just underneath 33 and a quarter, that's where I would get out. HIMS was a good scalp trade, but that's pretty much it. Like, it just held the range and was able to get down there. There was one good shot down into 45.6. We were able to get some share, but then I reloaded it. It's too range bound. I'm gonna step away from this. If it starts trending down, I can always jump back in, but this is going sideways while the market is flushing. Kind of a disappointment there for HIMS, no questions asked. But Rusty, to say that UNH, I know you're saying in the chat UNH is so manipulated. This is pretty normal. A lot of stocks do this in the first 30 minutes of the session, where you have some choppiness as, you know, the big boys are getting position and you'll have lots of shakeouts and trying to shake you out of what you believe in, and that just, it's normal. But if you can catch these, sometimes when you get a later dip into VWAP or a trend join, there's lots of ways to get into the trend a little bit later. Let's go to Adara. It is number time.
Yeah, we've got these University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers. This sentiment print, guys, lower than expected, which is never a good sign of positive sentiment. 58.6 here for the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. 58.6 versus 62 expected. 5-year and 1-year inflation prints, both also higher than expected in terms of what consumers are foreseeing. So a little bit negative. We're seeing 3.9%. 5-year inflation here versus 3.4% expected. The 1-year inflation expectation print, 4.9% versus 4.4% expected. So higher than expected University of Michigan sentiment print, lower than expected sentiment print, higher than expected inflation prints. Nasdaq dropping here, making a little bit of a bottoming tail candle here, just below the previous low. But either way, a bit of a weak look here. Again, worse than expected sentiment and higher than expected inflation expectations. UNH here chopping around. We know that this one was featured in quite a few 13F filings. Berkshire starting a position. We had Michael Burry with a pretty large position. And then we also have Appaloosa Holdings, that's at David Tepper's firm, significantly adding to their position. Applied Materials here on earnings watch. They gap down pretty aggressively on much weaker than expected guidance, though trying to bounce a little bit here off the open. Let's see if that bounce can hold. Back to you.
Yeah, a weak guide. It was a weak guide with AMAT, but it was also just the, I guess, the honesty with which they said that Chinese uncertainty was affecting them. You know, and other chip companies have been getting certainty out of China, and especially like AMD, NVIDIA. Okay, fine, they got to pay to play, but that's still a level of certainty, which is good for them at the end of the day. So NVIDIA's bouncing nicely. Second shot at the 100 on CoreWeave, this time on a trend break. So we liked it. Once it's into 100 to the 104 level, I was going to play every single reversion. I tried it over under at 100 itself. Then it breaks the trend. We like the trend break setups, those are pretty good. But that's back into VWAP, that's 98. So this trade has like a $2 to $2.50 shelf on it, in my opinion. The stock is SSR, and if an SSR name bounces, if I'm going long, I'm long into VWAP. If I'm shorted on a reversion, I'm short into the volume-weighted average price. That's pretty much always going to be the play here. NVIDIA's bouncing nice. We want to make sure we get this into the volume-weighted average price. You got to really try to snipe these if you can.
Yeah, that was a nice push. I just had to give it the right risk. I did get very aggressive into that 179 push, but then as you guys saw, most of that aggression came in at 179.01s, and I was like, oh boy, and didn't really hold on to that. We did pull back, but we only pulled back to 178.70s-ish. But here's the thing. If we've been selling off aggressively and you see the turn, the real risk is at the day low. It's on the turn. It's where the buyers came in looking for that defense of that reference, right? It's like, all right, cool. I did get in a little late there. I got 178.60s. And I know
60s?
On the initial push, yeah, I got 178.60s,
nice.
and then I added on the 179 break into, I think it was the 90s or something like that, and then I just dumped it all 25s just in front of the quarter, because I'm like, if we can't, like I said, I like if we hold the quarter, can we push to the half? But it doesn't always work that cleanly. The market's taking a nice little bounce here as well. I'm glad I didn't get short circle once again at the lows as it's pushing back up. You can see very choppy, but bigger picture. If we zoom out on this one, higher highs and higher lows, holding VWAP is what I was trying to say there. Yeah, holding.
I hear what I thought I heard.
Higher lows and higher highs, holding VWAP. Yeah, that's what it was. Here's 180 potentially coming.
Y'all heard exactly what I heard. Everyone in the chat, now I don't need to say it, but you guys heard it. It's okay. You speak all day long in front of a live audience, some things are gonna slip. But as Snoop Dogg used to say with his cereal preferences, because look, everyone needs to have a healthy breakfast and sometimes cereal is part of it. I don't love them O's. I don't love them O's. I'm more of a cornflakes guy, because that's what you said. Look, I'm gonna be cracking up over that for a while. Higher lows. Lower highs, higher lows. CoreWeave bounces off the volume-weighted average price, so I just want to make sure. Look, I told you I was getting out of that one. Mean reversion trade into the volume-weighted average price. So there's the front end of a trade, there's the back end of the trade. Sometimes you like it and you get it in what's called the front end, which means you're getting it as it's still going up instead of waiting for it to break the trend line. Nobody's perfect, but if you get it, you got to hold those and you got to get out of these right away. The other thing that just happened, remember I just said VWAP, retracement into the volume-weighted average price? NVIDIA retracement into the volume-weighted average price. That's just making back what I lost the first time. So NVIDIA breaks trend and goes into the volume-weighted average price out of that one as well. The other thing, Figma's getting close again. The market is coming right back up. Figma's still testing like it could break this bottom here at 76. I still have an order to short this if it breaks out the low of the day. So finally, we get something on NVIDIA and, of course, CoreWeave, but got to pay attention to what else is going on here. I wanted to recap Intel. We tried it, but I'm never – there's a saying I like, and I know I'm probably the one that says it the most. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. Like, you can hold – I like to hold the trade for that bigger move, like from gap to gap, but I don't want to hold the loss from gap to gap. Like, that's just a different beast. So I'm out of Intel trying it the second time through in here because I don't want it trending down on me. If it holds the low of the day, then you like it still, then trade it at the low of the day. I'm waiting for it to get back into the 2350 to 2360 range now that it's underneath VWAP. Either it's breaking out the top or trending and I can buy dips, or I'm waiting for it to fill in the gap. They tend to not like this news apparently, and they're selling off on this potential US government stake in Intel. Palantir was a popular name, wasn't on my list. Whoa. Who was it in the chat that said they were shorting Palantir in the pre-market?
Oh, damn.
Somebody in the chat said they were shorting Palantir in the pre-market. That is nasty. Well, it's not nasty. It's not nasty because 170 bucks actually makes sense on the daily chart for a healthy pullback. Long channel. This was a channel from May on Palantir where it held the low, held the high, recently broke it out after earnings. I think you're waiting for 170 bucks. That resistance turning into support always makes sense to me. So I'm not saying it gets to $170, but that's the place I'd be looking to buy Palantir.
Yeah, I like that look there. Getting a little cheeky here with this NVIDIA.
Cheeky.
Yeah, I mean, it's at VWAP. It's holding VWAP as of right now. So let's see if we get more of the same. That aggressive bid came in off of the number, and it seems like we might be bidding back up through that 180. Excuse me. So we hold that range low, right? So that's kind of what I wanted to see. So a quick little scalp at that VWAP just to see if it's holding as a bit of resistance, and yeah, maybe a little bit of a chop here happening right now. So sometimes I gotta be a little bit more, okay, all right, if you wanna go and do that. Well, you wanna go and do that, love, huh? Okay, you remember that one?
Well, don't ask me if I don't, come on, son, of course I remember that.
Oh boy.
You know I get that one, it's
Yes.
all good. The market, this is a nice bounce in the market here.
It is a nice bounce.
That said, like, try to remember the structure of what's going on. I'm trying not to rush into anything new. I got a couple of good scalp trades on the last push, but the Nasdaq is coming into overnight lows, which is also yesterday's support. So yesterday's support after the open, because we had the 830 bottom on that PPI number. Yeah. This is about 23. I'd call it closer to 23.88 on the NQ. Volume weighted average price just under that. So this is the spot where you usually think support to resistance, the up move could pause or curl. If you like to me, if I like a short, this is where I'd be trying to get into it for sure. I still haven't traded UNH. What's really happening is, I don't know what name, you can give it any name you want. I saw in the chat, Big Daddy just called it a compression pattern. I just call it a wedge. Doesn't really matter. It's effectively the same thing, where it's condensing in price action. And if you're bullish, you want it to break out above. If you're bearish, you want it to break out below. But I'm not doing anything with this stock until it breaks out in one way or another. I'm looking for the long in UNH, so I want this to break this wedge to the upside, which it's trying to do. But you can see it compress. Once it can explode through, which would be a break of this local high at 302.5, then I can actually be long this stock for the first time here today. Day trader cut. Yeah, what are you gonna do? He's like calling another man Big Daddy is wild. It's the name in the chat, and I'm just gonna read it. Like I'm not full Ron Burgundy. Like I won't just read anything you guys put in there.
Yeah.
But if the name isn't if your name isn't offensive, then you're gonna get a holler. I'll give you a shout out as long as it's not offensive. Like that's where I'll draw the line. Although they're supposed to block offensive names.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, YouTube's not
they don't always do
amazing
that,
at
I'm
doing
just gonna
that.
throw that.
That's what it is.
There's some flaws when it comes to that.
Yeah, definitely. Circle coming back into 144.
Oh, was that not his name?
Holding.
My bad.
Oh, it wasn't his name. Oh boy. Well, that might be a little different, Neil. If it's not his name and you're calling him Big Daddy, then.
No, I didn't get it wrong, did I? My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. Where is the next trade? That's what I'm asking, guys. And it seems like the market's taking a little bit of a pullback on the closing of this third 15-minute candle. Now, oh boy, it was just a few minutes ago we were talking about the first 15-minute candle. What's happening?
It's not even close.
Not even close. What was the name then?
I don't know what
was the name?
I mean, I was looking at the chart. And I glanced up at the name and I was trying to read. Like I'm looking at the tape and I glance up and see the name and it looked like it's BG3 Batty. Like I just glanced up. Like I'm looking at the chart and I'm looking to make a trade and I glance over to read the comment. This is part of what you do when you're live on the show. So I completely misread it, obviously. That's my bad. I can cop to that. I'm getting older these days. The vision's still pretty good, but it's not perfect. So finally we've broken through. What are we calling this? Compression pattern, wedge, shout out to Wedge, the unsung hero in Star Wars.
Okay.
Rewatch it. And we rewatch it remembering Wedge can't actually use the Force. He's going in there with no help.
This is in the first trilogy?
I'm just saying. Anyways.
The first trilogy?
Yeah.
The second, okay.
Wedge is like Luke's friend. Anyways. He's not that little guy, she says. Wedge is an absolute hero. Just rewatch the movie and remember that this dude is just going in there. He doesn't have backup. He doesn't have Han Solo as a friend. He's just out there surviving when no one else made it out alive. The guy's a legend.
I gotta go back and look. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to put a face to the character, but
he was it.
Yeah, okay. I gotta go back and look at that one. Intel coming in with a little bit of a bounce here. Apple sold off pretty aggressively off the open, man. It just like the selling has been so
it's not catching
aggressive.
A bid with the market.
But you know who did catch a bit of a bid and looking distinctly different, Neil? Actually, two of them, maybe three, but two of them a little bit distinct. They're Alphabet. We talked about Alphabet, Google breaking out of that 200 mark, and that's following through 205.57's current day high, currently trading at 205.47's. And another one is Softy. Softy's defending that 520 level pretty well as of right now. And again, we saw NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA holding that 179, 178 area pretty well, coming back up into VWAP as of right now. A little bit of turbulence at VWAP, but it seems like we might just blow past this. I have no idea. Circle, I still got on watch as well. Intel, we just talked about. Opendoor did not do very much off of the open there. So
disappointing.
A little disappointing there. What else did we have?
It's not done.
I think we had Roblox.
Roblox was dumping on this. Yeah. It's just back to that Louisiana story, suing Roblox. But that was kind of like a yesterday thing. I don't think we had anything new on that one. And if there is anything new on it and I'm wrong about that, then I'll get corrected in about 10 seconds by Adara. But there's somebody flashing size on UNH every now. They're not doing it anymore, but they were doing it at 304. And while that was happening, it's sort of holding it at 303. So the next time it pops up in maybe to the $0.50, like it just did there, I was about to say I'm going to take some out in front of the 304 because of that seller, and then try to catch a dip buy, and if I can get a price underneath 302, I'm giving it to 301. So I'm going to try to give a price under 302 if I can get it to add back in, just as long as that seller continues to be there on UNH. I think this can break out the high. UNH feels like a stock that, look, sell the news because everyone was expecting Warren Buffett to have been a buyer and file that in the 13F, and it tries to shake everybody out. But if it can hold on to this trend break, I think you can see a high break. It's got room to go to 320 on the daily chart. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to 320 today. That's just not how things work. So took some out because of the seller I saw at 04 and looked to see if I can get it in a better price. If it loses 01s, I'm just going to jump out of it. I expect when you break a long consolidation like this, you should just start trending pretty quickly. And if that doesn't happen, I don't have to fight it. Jumping back, I know you're already in NVIDIA, so I did want to jump right back into, you're short NVIDIA.
Maybe not for long.
Well, it's off the volume weighted average price. I was going to not talk about NVIDIA so that I could go over AMD for the first time today. AMD was strong move to the downside, but actually holding the volume weighted average price here. But what's interesting about AMD that I was going to point out was this shelf at 180 that broke. So, I mean, 180 seems like this really obvious place. If the market breaks it out the top, I think you want to be taking this into a breakout on that bad boy. But UNH is the only trade I am in. And you're right, Sadiq, I am still looking at CoreWeave. I'm bouncing from the same names. Like I like UNH, we'll trade that. We'll trade CoreWeave. I don't like HINS as much anymore. NVIDIA, we've been in a couple of times to try to catch that bounce into 180. But CoreWeave is holding VWAP. I wanted to short anywhere from 100 to 104, and the first setup was that trend break. Now it's catching another bid in CoreWeave. It looks a little bit strong today, so I have to wait for it to make another top and then try to sniper in on CoreWeave. All the selling seems to have occurred going into the lockup expiration. And then you've had like maybe one or two chances to try to sniper one here today. But this happened with ARM. Sean and I were talking about this yesterday, and it was reminding Obi that when ARM had its lockup expiration and everyone's like, this is overvalued, it's going to dump.
By the news event?
It did not dump. And it caught everybody off guard by not dumping that day. So you don't want to fight it too hard if it's not doing exactly what you expect. You can take your shot at it, but you can have your expectation as to what's supposed to fundamentally happen. The market has zero obligation to give a rat's you-know-what about what your opinion is. It's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah, you just got to respect what it does, and at the same time, kind of listen to what it's saying, right? I think that's a big struggle, I would say, even for myself. Can't speak for every trader out there, but definitely a little bit of a struggle for myself, where it's just like I have an idea, I have a bit of an opinion, and I might try to force it a little bit, just kind of misinterpreting the data and the information that the market is clearly giving me, right? For example, like getting aggressive with shorts on Circle. It's a good thing I didn't continue because it's coming back into that 145 as of right now, right? So a little bit of a push back through, but bigger picture, it's holding VWAP. It's showing you that, okay, pre-market structure, a little bit of a flag breakout through 139s, any aggressive pullback into VWAP, volume weighted average price, holds pretty well for another push up higher. So yeah, nice little action there on Circle. But yeah, kind of reiterating the point that even if there's strong volatility and things are chopping up pretty crazily, I think just zooming out a little bit, looking at the bigger picture definitely helps a lot, I think. Yeah, NVIDIA's still catching that bid, man. What if we grind all the way back up to highs? That would be wild.
I mean, if you remember what NVIDIA's been doing all week, it's been holding the exact same range this entire time. Like all week, same range on NVIDIA. The fact that it bounced off the low, it isn't carte blanche that it's going to get to, like it's not automatic that I think NVIDIA is going to get back into those highs. Let me just pull up the chart. You're always looking at the thing that you're trading. It doesn't mean that it's going to get back all the way to the highs at 184, but certainly, like at least a retest of 81 to 82 makes some sense to me. I scalped it to VWAP because the market was looking weak. Okay, let me just go back to UNH for a second because that just bounced. I just realized I got caught without an offer to take some out. UNH just got back and bounced off of 301 there and then back into 303. It's not flying around, so it's turning into a bit more of a scalp trade than anything else, where you're just buying the dip into VWAP and there's resistance at 303. I still want to hold on for a break of the high of the day here in UNH. Each time it bounces, I see the bids start to come in, and there's just more sellers. And you have to be reminded of the context. The context being, this got bid up from 240 bucks, and it's gone there in only a week. So 240 to 300 is the biggest move it had outside of when it dumped for in essentially a couple of days on UNH. And everyone was expecting this news, and now that we've gotten it, it's not exactly like we're flying away. I still think it can go, just have to be a little bit more patient with it. Yeah, someone just said, I like this point. Taz in the chat just said, same wedge on the 15-minute chart. Like, yeah, on the 15-minute chart, you actually have, I don't have my drawing tool here. There we go. On the 15-minute, you've got this wedge, and you've got more of a tighter one, which is trying to break. That's where you can get confirmation. On the 3-minute, it already did it. And as long as we hold on to $300, this is valid. But if you hold this on the 15-minute, then that just gives you a place to get more shares. Or if you're already out, you can, I should say me, I can then jump back in if I'm out, and I can add if I'm still into it. So I like the multi-time frame look. I favor the long on here, so I'm going to look at all the different time frames under which I can find entry points, trend breaks, consolidations. If I see some random gigantic buyer, I can join in on the level 2 because I'm favoring right now the long over 300. So that's a great call out for sure. Trader Forever, great catch. This is what the community is all about. It was the community yesterday that told us that something fishy was happening on Microsoft at $524. Okay. It was a couple of traders, and I remember seeing it after the fact because it was being talked about on the midday show, and look at the dump. So you want to observe, hey, what's happening at 524 in here today? Looks like it's catching a bit of a, I think I don't think we've decided what's happening here yet because it's still going back and forth. It went both ways and then settled in. So give it some time, but you're looking at the right level. If we start trending away from this level, I think you want to be in either direction. But it was a short yesterday through that price. I'm holding UNH. We're going to Adara. It's time for the small cap recap, of which neither of those stocks are.
Thank you guys for that transition. Yeah, IWM here actually at a fascinating level. Look at this hold of 226.12 yesterday. That was yesterday's low of day. Guess where we are right now? That same level. So this is certainly a distinct lower high after a very strong push up for IWM as of late. These small caps, there weren't a ton that were super promising. One of the best ones by far here is SGML on the day as far as I could see. Sigma Lithium. Q2 losses here of 17 cents per share, sales of 16.88 million. Not sure how that compares to estimates, but either way, the stock is pushing higher. So good look here for SGML. That is a day one earnings move. Then we've got here PGEN getting some positive update here from the FDA for one of their treatments and getting an upgrade from JP Morgan. And last but not least, a day three earnings play for Inovio Pharmaceuticals. They did have a slight Q2 earnings beat Tuesday after the bell. So again, day three earnings near day high. INO, not seeing any other news for this as we send it back to the guys.
Boy.
There's a lot of puns that you could make for Joby. I'm not going to make any of them because I think they're all morbid. It's a flying vehicle and this thing just crash landed.
Yep.
Y'all heard what I said about Boeing all the time.
Well,
so.
we do know that one. No, that one, it was. Although, as astutely pointed out by Sharif, the professor, who also told me what his workout was yesterday, and I got instantly sympathy. I got sore
Just talking about it.
You were just talking about it.
One of
Like,
those ones.
this is why I can't do that. I jinxed it by saying these flies were now gone, and now there's one like.
They're still here.
Joby still looks okay on the daily chart. It was good news, but they just sold it off right away. There's gonna be a nasty looking candle. If it can hold on to 16 bucks, I suppose you've got something going over there. But I'm more interested in what might be coming back up here on Intel. So Intel absolutely refuses to break 24 and give me 23.5. But it is willing to try the 25 again. Let's see if this time it holds on to VWAP. That's what I'd love to see. Give me a little bit more structure for this long. Break out the top, hold a higher low. We have a chop fest essentially off the open, this entire dollar. So I don't want to get too wrapped up trying to fight it. I either wanted the breakout or I wanted the gap down in here, and I am favoring the long trade. But the market is trying to curl. And I'm reminded that my patience in Figma and CoreWeave bouncing, trying to get back to 100. It's setting up another short. And Figma, the one short that I have not touched all day long, breaking out the high of the day. I'm canceling my stop to go short through the low of the day because obviously as it's breaking the high, I don't need to leave that. Because what will happen is if I leave that in, I could forget that it's there. It trends up. I'm going for a walk at lunchtime or something, and it comes back down, and then you get punched in. So I like to try to cancel it when it's not valid. This is now not valid at all. Figma is catching a bid. Sometimes it's a bit of a buy the news or sell the news, which is a buy on CoreWeave's lockup, and then you catch a bid in something like a Figma, which is also a recent IPO that's been trending down. So they just all go up in concert. That's my guess. No particular news here with Figma. Another one of those failed IPO. I don't want to call it a failed IPO. That's not fair. But because if you got the issue price, you're still up. But it made a fresh low and has been trending down. Bullish was trending down as well. CoreWeave, Circle have been trending down. So I think it's just a bit of a theme. You get a lot of high-priced IPOs that open 100%, 150% higher. Sometimes the profit taking gets very, very heavy and signals a bit of a top, because they were so juiced up for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was amazing IPO. Like this IPO season this year has been absolutely crazy.
The trade's fine, the open, but
yeah, the trade. I think both the long and the short was there. I remember trading Fig. I didn't have aggressive size on it like I should have. That was a big mistake of mine. But I had the long off of the open, and then on the backside as well, the short on the backside as well. So it's just like it gave you both ways, and it gave it to you so cleanly as well. And bullish was absolutely beautiful. Like Bullish was probably one of the top ones. First Circle came out, and I was like, oh, Circle's the best IPO I've ever seen. And then what was that other one? And then one took over. Not Circle, but
CoreWeave first. It was CoreWeave, then Circle.
CoreWeave, and then Circle. But Circle was by far. I was like, okay, this is
and then Bullish.
Figma. Right? Figma. Okay, Figma. I'm like, okay, yeah, Figma by far one of the best ones. And then Bullish. Oh boy. That was some bullish action off of the open, and a beautiful retracement as well, coming right back down. And Figma was absolutely beautiful as well. So yeah, IPO season has been absolutely. Fly, there you go. Fly was the other one.
Right.
Thank you for pointing that out, Sharvan in the chat. So yeah, let's take a look at what Fly is up to and see.
Is NVIDIA tanking? Because AMD is.
NVIDIA is testing that 180. So 179.90 is VWAP here. So let's see if VWAP can give it up. Again, today's the first day we violated that range low. So kind of sellers pushing it in and being like, all right, well, maybe this is the day. This is now we start breaking below that range. If we can't sustain VWAP, then I think sellers have shown who's in charge on the day today. So let's wait and see what happens. That 179.90 I have as VWAP. It can be like 180 as well. I have one just above 180, 180.10s as of right now here on the P8 platform. So just keeping a watch on that. Let's see if it'll give it up. Only about 7 seconds? No, 7 seconds for the 3 minute, but 3 minutes left for the 15 minute to close. So I'm waiting and watching for that one as well, Neil.
Absolutely. And you know what, everybody? You've seen Trade the Pool here for a while now. But they got something different, everybody. And it's just created special for you, active traders. A free ebook featuring 4 proven swing trading strategies from Trade the Pool's top funded traders. Inside, you'll see exactly how they approach the markets, how they manage risk, and the setups that they use and rely on so you can learn to grow from what actually works. Download it now by scanning the QR code on the screen or hitting the link in the description. And a thank you to Trade the Pool for that. Make sure you should always have a strategy. And I think one of the good things about journaling or having in a book fashion is, to me, like, if you couldn't write down what your strategy is or articulate what your strategy is and you don't necessarily have a trade, you almost have, like, you have something you like. A trade should be, I'm looking at this here in this direction for a reason. Like, it could be, I'm looking at AMD. I could simply say, I favor the short on AMD because it's got a double top the last 2 days. It broke down the lower high, so the structure is a short. It consolidated the bottom, and maybe you like a breakout at 177. So that's the reason why you want to be short on a stock like AMD. Then you could have something along the lines of, okay, well, if it breaks 177, I'm just sort of saying this out loud. I don't necessarily want to take this trade. If it breaks 177, I'm going to give it to 178 risk. That's another key level risk $1. I'm looking for a push down into this close area here at 174. Right? So maybe I'm going to be getting out every dollar into 174. That's a 1.5 to 1 risk to reward if you were to get all of those fills, and that would be a structure of a trade. Or you could just, I'm punching short at 177, and then, you know, Jesus can take the wheel, and that's it. Like, you don't actually have, you're just like, I'm just going to do it, but it doesn't really matter. So, like, you want to make sure that you have a bit of a strategy when you're trading.
No, I think that's a valid point. Like, you should be able to explain what you do, I guess, on I guess just a scribbles on a napkin. I think if you can simplify that as much as possible.
You don't have to use a napkin, but
no, but I think just to simplify. You know, they say some of the best ideas have been written on napkins across time. I wonder when they invented napkins. So what I'm trying to say is what I've come to realize, and one of my favorite quotes from I forget which book. I think Turtle Traders. It's one of the Turtle Trader books. Is you just have to simplify the trade. Like, you go through so much material, you have so much knowledge, you have market acumen, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to simplify the trade as simple as possible to take the executions.
Yes.
Right? This is the idea, this is the reasoning, this is the thesis. I get long when this happens. If this happens, then I get short. I think, like, keeping it that simple is definitely the key, and that's what I've learned over the years as well, and that's what I guess a lot of mentors kind of reiterate as well. So yeah, definitely a good look there, simplifying your process as much as possible. If you can't do that, then it's definitely something you gotta figure out as well, right? So it's funny. Whenever I meet new traders, we were at the Traders for a Cause event this week. That was fun. Yeah, it was good. It was solid. It was great. We got to meet some solid traders, and I don't know if you guys know, Sang Lucci was there as well. He's kind of an OG. When it comes to, he's one of the tape reading legends. I kind of learned a lot from him when I first started trading. He has videos on his channel that are like 12 years old on tape reading. And I asked him, I was like, hey, listen, man, I know you were a very big advocate for tape reading. How has it changed in the past, 10 to 15 years?
Oh my
and he says it's exactly the same. He's like, at the end of the day, the supply and demand mechanics that happen on the tape, like it doesn't necessarily change.
Yeah, how it looks
Like,
visually has changed.
Yeah,
but yeah. That's
so, but he's more options driven now. He's looking at tape equivalents on options order flow and taking advantage of those. So shout out to him, solid trader. But yeah, we met a lot of good traders there as well. A few of the guys from Real Trading showed up. So.
Oh, I gotta update something. And this is one of the viewers was mentioning the wedge on the 15-minute. Like, so the trend on UNH, all of a sudden, it's no longer, like when I was in it here, well, I'm still in the same position. The stop was gonna be at 300. But now, if you lose 301, which is closer to break even on the trade, it's gonna be underneath that trend line. So just want to make sure I updated my stop there. I just realized I don't want to put it exactly at the even dollar, but close enough to it. But I don't know if UNH, maybe it's not going to be today that you get that follow through to 320. We'll see. But it's been holding this trend for a while, but I just had to move my stop. It's a moving target. As you get higher lows the entire way through, it'll give me an opportunity, if it breaks down, that I can reevaluate. Because it could still, at some point, it just keeps on condensing here. You could still really break out on the 15 the way that it did on the lower time frame. So again, I've moved my stop. I know VWAP is down here, and usually I'll trade off of VWAP, but the longer structure of this, it's just not going yet. So I want to give it a chance, but it's just not doing what I want. What is starting to look a little bit better is Opendoor. This broke VWAP the first time and didn't work. It's breaking VWAP a second time, and I don't want to try it again. So I like Open today. CEO news, ultimately, they're hunting for a new CEO. This is a CEO that was not very popular amongst a lot of shareholders, so it seemed as a positive. Also, they came out in some 13F filings that were named Tudor. I don't know if it was anybody else. I think it was just John Tudor.
I only saw Tudor.
Yeah, it was
I
just
didn't see
Tudor,
anybody
right?
else.
Okay, thanks, Adara. See, Adara knows everything and she doesn't forget anything. It was just Tudor, but it also has a huge short float as well. So you got that going for it here with Open. We close above VWAP, which means I'm going to try to get back in again. Might get cheeky and see if I can pick up a midpoint and get 35.5 here instead of 35, and maybe even put a 32 in there or 33.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I just got the midpoint. So I just got 35.5. See, every now and then you can get the spread. I just got 35.5 and it went through 36. I tried to get 32s, but I'm not getting the fill down here. So long in front of VWAP, same structure. If it loses underneath about 3.25, I'll get out, looking for the high of the day.
Man, that 145 on Circle. Oh boy, we're making a full circle to VWAP there. And VWAP has been the bid, but I really liked, like I said before, I wanted to risk against 145. Big mistake of mine, not continuing the trade. I already kind of chopped up and exhausted myself before the trade actually comes in. GG's, classic. But just, again, I have enough risk to continue kind of trying the trade. So when it's actually in, and I'm seeing it happen, 145's hold all the way back down to VWAP. At the very least, the reversion to VWAP is definitely on board. And then if we can crack VWAP and trade a little bit lower, giving us that trend we were talking about just a few days ago, I think last week, the trend that's already happening on the higher time frame is we've been selling off of those highs. Right? So it's like any sort of bid that pops up into a key level, do we find sellers? Do we see more of the same on that's been happening on the higher time frame? And it seems like Circle for the past few days has been doing that, but today maybe a little bit more of a bid. It is a Friday again. Maybe some swing shorts covering their positions coming into the beginning of the day. I have no idea, but CoreWeave was on my mind as well. You're saying Palantir trend break? Okay, yes. I see that one there a little bit there. That does look very nice.
This is that time of day.
This is that time of day. It's coming into about 10:30, so reversions, where you at? Looking for some of those as well. This NVIDIA is starting to look a little bit heavy here for now, underneath that 180. Let's see, we were holding underneath VWAP as well, so sellers kind of, maybe confirmation of sellers if we can hold here for long enough. This 15-minute candle, though, Neil, still has over 9 minutes left to print. I'm looking for some of those consolidation lows to get taken out, and we're trading a little bit lower there, but let's see if we can hold below 180. I like it. If we don't, then that's perfectly fine as well. Yeah, what was I going to look at again? CoreWeave. Let's see what our friend CoreWeave is up to. Oh boy, 100 back through. Oh my God, look at this, Neil.
That was a different oh boy.
Yeah, that was an oh boy, basically being like, I should be in this trade. Why am I not in this trade? Because we've been trending down since earnings. Day one, day two, day 3, sellers stepping right back into some of these prior days levels. You can see right here, prior day consolidation low. Sure, it's not the day close, but holding as a bit of resistance within that. Can't even get past those pre-market highs as well from 4 a.m. So nothing too crazy. And was that a call for Adara? For Neil? Okay.
It was not, but hey, I was just talking about Palantir and trend breaks. You can find those two on eSignal, and you can do it for free because the first month is still free over at eSignal. You can scan the QR code in front of you, link in the description, find yourself with a charting platform that is reliable, data, markets open, data's good, multiple markets, level 1, level 2, imbalance locator, every indicator you could imagine, you have API access to automate your trading. You can back test, obviously. You've got tick replays. You can go back over, see what happened. Lower time frame charts like second charts are fantastic. You can trade directly through the platform through multiple brokers. Up to 50 brokers are there. It's a great platform. We use it all the time. I mean, I'm not executing on it because we have P8 here at Real Trading, but I'm still using it. You can look. I could draw a trend line. Don't need to. Already have it. I'm looking trend break here. It's a 3-minute just like I always use. There's the bottom. You can see the bid. Not a lot of size on the bid, right? Like it's mostly one lots. No one really jamming or changing anything up there. And what I love about this is I've only started using these. So I'm like, this is relatively new to my strategies. Is looking at a 5-second chart to indicate. What I found is like for some of these mean reversion trades, you can get the sense of like what is it doing in here, right? So I'm in that trend break, but I immediately can see that right around that 20 to quarter mark, you're getting a bit of a curl. So if I see a scenario where I see a lot of strength coming in on the 5-second, which obviously is not happening now, it's going down, which is good. Then I might jump out of this trade and say, I don't even care about where my stop is because I'm seeing that action go against me. Like my stop is at the prior bar here, but that's at 178.45 or so. So if it can hold those 20s, then I think we're going to be good to go. UNH is doing the same thing. It goes a couple bucks in the money, but I've already scalped it for that. I'm looking for that bigger breakout. Open as a bounce off of the volume weighted average price. And whoa, I guess that was a bit of a heavy candle on NVIDIA there.
Oh yeah, some sellers definitely showing us who is in charge here. And like I said, that 180 hold was nice. But yeah, some aggressive selling through that prior bar low. We saw that wick action happen here on that prior candle. If you're looking at it like a 3-minute or even, what does it look like on a 2-minute? I know a lot of players use 2 minutes as well. So 2-minute doesn't really show up there, that bottom wick. But once we take out that wick, a bit of a hold on 54s, 179.54s. And once we crack that, yeah, of course, people definitely, I mean, if I see that wick happen, if I see aggressive buyers, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should be risking to the reference low of that buying pressure coming in. And maybe potentially some strong push off of that. But once we break that, I think sellers step right back in, taking out some of those stops as well. So yeah, it's looking good for now. Can we hold below 180 is the question that I'm asking, Neil. We'll be right back from Adara. Sector watch.
Here is our sector board, and as you can see, it's a little bit mixed today. Electronic technology pretty weak. Cisco selling off earnings day 2. KLA Corporation, they're selling off. Micron weak, AMD, Broadcom, NVIDIA to the downside, but tech services, with the exception of Palantir, is actually pretty strong. Then we've got finance pretty right across the board here. Producer manufacturing. We have Applied Materials leading a lot of this group to the downside after their earnings report, but John Deere on its second day after earnings doing pretty well. Health technology strong, consumer non-durables has some strength here. And health services, UNH leading a lot of these beleaguered health insurance names to the upside after we have a lot of major investors, including Warren Buffett and Michael Burry, announcing positions or increasing positions in the name. Uber leading transportation to the upside, retail trade a bit mixed. It's a very mixed picture across the board here today, but there are certainly sector-wide moves that you can notice. Back to you.
Yeah, no questions asked. I tell you, maybe it's a leader in its sector. DraftKings is going nuts. 5% to the upside in a down market. Football season starting. Sean and I have our fantasy draft tomorrow amongst our high school friends, so that should be fun. I have like 2 picks because it's a dynasty league, and my team's pretty good. But DraftKings, look at the respect at that 50 period. This is like, look at the obvious support, the accumulation in support at the $42 level on DraftKings. this looks really, really good. The problem, of course, is if you're not into it, and I know we tend to cover as much as we can. I didn't even see DraftKings pop up on the visualize. That's sort of the thing. I was looking at what is everyone interested in watching. DraftKings didn't even seem to crack it here. Open's still leading the way. Palantir, UNH, CoreWeave, NVIDIA, Hood, AMD, Roblox, Tesla, BSLK, WULF, Google, Intel. Like those are all names that I think we've talked about to some extent, with the exception of BSLK for sure. But DraftKings certainly looking very, very strong here. Stay away from Burden, draft Higgins. I'm not drafting Higgins at 13 in a rookie draft, Charlie. That's too early for him. I could trade back to take Higgins, the rookie. At 13, that's too early for him in a rookie draft. Anyways, that's just fantasy football. But Burden's just a long-term play. My team is really stacked, so I'm just going to take a guy that I think is going to be a couple of years from now really, really good. Yeah, DraftKings looks very, very constructive. I don't like buying these highs in a weak market, though. Maybe allow that one to come back in. I'm just going to go back over to Palantir. It got halfway there, but now the short is living on a prayer, and it can't seem to get all the way to VWAP. So I'm going to tighten the stop up. We'll give it to 178. I'm going to give it to that 20 level. Remember we saw on the 5-second chart, it was pretty obvious that at that 20 level, there were some sellers that were coming in. If they get broken, then I jump out of the trade. So I'm going to tighten the stop from here to effectively here and still see if we can get the VWAP retracement. It's been the mean reversions that have carried it for me. The NVIDIA one, and then CoreWeave was pretty good into VWAP. That's not doing as much anymore. UNH, same story. I guess everyone wants this thing to blast, but everyone's been buying it up for this news. We get that news, and it goes very, very slowly to the upside. You want to join Warren Buffett in his trades, but we say Warren Buffett for Berkshire Hathaway, but it's entirely possible that this is not a Buffett pick. It doesn't really fit the bill. There's still fundamental concerns with the company. They have open investigations. Like there's a lot of negative sentiment. I understand that, and the negative sentiment thing actually makes sense. Like if you thought it was a good value based on future revenues, and the sentiment was the problem, then that to me could be a bit of a Buffett buy. So I'm with it, but it's entirely possible that like it could actually just be new leadership behind it, and we'll never know. And it's what's intriguing about these new 13Fs for Berkshire Hathaway.
I just wanted to chime in on that, Neil, if you don't mind. I think we know that Buffett always used to say, buy good companies at fair prices, not fair companies at good prices. UNH, you could argue, would be a fair company at a good price, given that it's at like multi-year lows. So that, I think, is one argument to make that this is not Buffett's doing, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. I'm with you on that. It's hard to argue with it, but yeah, that's the fun part about it. The overreaching thing, I think, that makes this different, and maybe why it's not exploding the way everyone might have expected it to today, is just how far this had already come. Like the speculation that Buffett was buying, or that Berkshire was this was the mystery stock, started a while ago, and we've already had a pretty decent move going into this. The market goes down. That's good, and Open's bouncing still. What I like about these small cappers, I know Sharif likes it too, is the market can be just dripping, and they can hold on and not care. Now, Open hasn't done much since it held VWAP, but it's not falling with the market anymore, so that's at least a good sign. UNH is continuing to bounce. I'm getting out of Palantir at VWAP, and it looks like it's going to hit the volume-weighted average price. If it bounces off VWAP, Palantir, I want out of this thing. Just take it from station to station. The market not really doing a heck of a lot. We had one flush at the open, and it's been a little sideways since.
I mean, I'm staring this tape down, and I'm like, 179 quarters is being defended. There's reserves on 179 26s, but of course, the bigger picture action, I don't think it's a big enough reserve to kind of really get in the way, but holding as of right now. So I'm watching that. Buddy on 26s, if that guy steps down, I like this even better. And honestly, Neil, I'm looking for places to add on to this trade now. Like, we're finally in a good one that's working. The market tailwind is on our side. 26, buddy, I know you're going to be gone soon enough, and print the quarters and then the holes. There it is, 27s, 26s. Can you print? Can you print? Can you print? 26s, 25s, 27s, 28s. This is what I mean. Reserves, holding while the market is giving us a little bit of a tank city. Where's the 15-minute chart? We just started. Okay, all right. So if you want to print the opening of the 15-minute chart like that, that's perfectly fine with me, but I'm waiting for that. There it is, 25 right through and then rebid. Okay, all right. So yeah, maybe it's just noise, but looking for that continuation. What's up, Adara?
To let you guys know here about British Petroleum, BP, obviously this gap down, couldn't find any news as for why, making a bit of a bull flag intraday. Apparently, Seeking Alpha's reporting, or I guess commenting that there's some takeover speculation for the company, which could be leading to these gains. Now, keep an eye here in PFE as well. I'm just seeing this come through my blotter right now. Pfizer's experimental sickle cell drug has failed its phase 3 trial. Keep an eye on Pfizer. Again, CNBC reporting that its experimental sickle cell drug has failed a phase 3 trial. Back to you.
No. Like, I have no dog in the fight, so I don't really care whether Pfizer goes up or down, but sickle cell is a horrible, horrible disease. It's like a heartbreaking disease. You don't want to see, you want them to succeed because it's one of the, it's a horrible, horrible disease. Palantir just head faked. It got to VWAP. The buyers came in. Well, buyers came in. I shouldn't say the buyers came in because if the buyers came in, then it would do something crazy. But it bounced to VWAP. Looks like that's what we're going to be able to get. So we got basically the dollar move into the volume-weighted average price. UNH is trying to break 305 as we speak. It's not really doing so very successfully. It's been through a couple of times here and kind of dropping right back in. I've already scalped, and I'm trying to hold for a break of the high, which is 306. So if it fails at 306, I'm going to trail to 305. And try to let this one fly. So I wanted to break the 306 level, then I'm going to put a trailing stop in at that 305 level. And I know I just heard you say AMD breaking low of the day. So there's a low of the day break.
I gotta pull up my chip basket here. Again, I usually have it open on my charts here, but usually I have NVIDIA and then AMD. If it'll have me, come on, you got a low.
You don't want to have AMAT on that today.
No. That's not part of my. This is a Momo chip list, which I like, and it's just my basket of it. So I usually have AMD. So NVIDIA is the leader. So I have NVIDIA first. AMD here. You know what? I should just pull up. Boy, you don't like giving this stuff, but you know what? It's fine. I don't care. NVIDIA. And then you got AMD here, and then I do an Intel. What's Intel up to? So Intel as well, looking nice. Let's do that. Intel, and then I got, what do I have here? I usually have an SMCI as well. Wow, SMCI, Tank City on that one. And of course, you've got to be watching the ETF. SMH as well, the VanEck. What's up to our boys at VanEck? That's coming in pretty nicely. Day low at 294s, wicked off of that one. So let's see if we can break some of those opening range lows here. That would definitely give some precedent for some NVIDIA lower prices. And then I do TSM and then some Micron, and then finish it off with a little bit of strong arm right here to the downside as well. So yeah, chip, this is usually what I'm watching in terms of chips, looking for opportunities, looking for anything that's distinctly different. Now, of course, I'm watching other chip names as well on days like today where it's AMAT as well, but this is usually kind of the chip list. For me, Intel usually does its own thing. AMD's looking pretty nice here, cracking the day low. ARM and SMCI kind of do their own thing as well. But yeah, some of these other names holding up pretty well. SMH, again, the constituents of SMH are pretty interesting if you want to go and look into some of those. Not distributed as you may initially think on SMH. So we'll be right back from Madeira.
This is the US dollar, and the US dollar is definitely struggling a little bit here. I talked a bit about an uptrend from the lows. We've already broken that. Right now, these last 3 days, we've seen lows around 97.63. Right now, we're trading around 97.73. So let's see if we can make a even vaguely higher low in the US dollar. I want to talk a little bit about a trend that I've seen as of late. We know on CNBC, and we already have an infographic for this on X at TTV Research. You can check that out. But CNBC reported on Wednesday morning that there are now 11 candidates for the Fed chair position. There are a lot of these that we already kind of knew or suspected, like Christopher Waller, who is currently, of course, a Fed governor, and he's backed the call for rate cuts even as early as the July meeting. He and Michelle Bowman, who's also considered a contender, they were the two dissenting votes. We also, of course, still have the two Kevins, as Trump calls them. Kevin Warsh and Kevin Hassett are still on the list, but there were some contenders we didn't quite expect. Mark Summerlin and David Zervos are two of them, and both of those men, in the 24 hours following that article, or I guess that report, they've both come out and said that they support a 50 basis point cut at the September meeting. Now, this is significant because if you're trying to, I guess, increase your odds at getting picked as the Fed chair, the 50 basis point cut call is a great way to go because we know that's what Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary, has said, and he apparently is the first person interviewing these individuals. So for them to appeal to a position he's publicly made maybe means that David Zervos and Mark Summerlin could be some of the top contenders. This is pure speculation, but I think it's very interesting. Keep an eye on who's calling for a 50 basis point cut when, because this could become pretty significant. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. Lots of drama, which is, like we said before, good for trading and good for volatility, but ultimately contested decisions with the Fed tend to not be loved by the overall market and tend not to be loved sometimes by business leaders. Shout out to Willis Addison in here. Headed fishing, get it, Willis. Why not? Made over 970% AMAT swing puts. AMAT, overnight, AMAT nasty. For sure. Bad guidance there is going to be the culprit for Applied Materials. But at the open, actually caught a bit of a bid, maybe an SSR bounce. But since it got to the high, couldn't quite get to 170, where I think we kind of liked it to the short. But if you're able to hold on, it looks like it's resuming trend. The market's coming down in. This chart looks bad on the daily as well. So there's a heck of a lot going wrong with it. All right, like two things to get to. Open's finally starting to move here off VWAP. So we held on. The first time Opendoor didn't go off the volume weighted average price, but I literally said in my note, if it holds VWAP, I'm going long. Tried, no. Tried, going. So you got to wait for it. I want it breaking 350. I have one more out at 350. Where am I sitting? 47? Yeah. Oh, no, 48. One more in front of 50, and then I want to wait for a run to the high. Then we hold on to a third of the position for a potential high break. I might reload at VWAP depending on what it looks like. And I also did trail out of UNH. I said if it failed that high, it might have shaken me out a little bit there, but we bought the dip sort of into that wedge. When I saw it fail the high, it got all the way down to 303.5. So it did pull back a couple of dollars, but it's right back going into those highs. So UNH ends up more of a scalp trade in here from the 301 and the 302, gets some 303, 303 halves, and then my best out's going to be at 305 in there. Maybe it doesn't go to 320 today. That's fine. You can still get some decent longs, but that big $10, $15 move, day's still young. It could still happen. It's not happening right away at the open. But open's going at least. Yeah, open. You just had to be open to taking the trade there, and I think it was pretty nice. This NVIDIA is still selling off pretty nicely here. What's going on? The battle is on. I'm here all day. Circle coming into VWAP as well. Oh boy, that's it. Is that a prior bar break on NVIDIA? Yeah, well, maybe I'm going to move up to a bit of a higher time frame as well. 5 minutes holding pretty nicely if you take a look at the 5 minutes. So when the 3 minute gets a little choppy, I like to move up. And this was a good conversation I was having with some traders at, again, Traders for a Cause on, I keep forgetting, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Because I'm like, normally don't really party in the middle of the week, and there was definitely some loosening happening on Wednesday. So it was good. Hence why I didn't trade yesterday. That's why I was like, which is fair. I know my stats. I know my stats very well. Be self-aware. I'm like, if I don't sleep well, if I'm indulging in the no-no during the middle of the week. In the what? In the no-no. In the middle of the week, then the next day, statistically speaking, the performance is not like I can have the best opportunity. There can be the best trades, but my performance and my execution is not necessarily up to par. So why even put on any risk? That's new. Is that a thing? Is that what the kids say? I'm indulging in the no-no. I don't know because they're saying stuff like skibbity. I know all about that. My daughter says skibbity doobop. She's at least past that. Now everything is referencing that. What is it? The Demon Hunter thing. The K-pop. Is it K-pop Demon Hunters? You haven't heard about this? Demon Slayer? Like the anime Demon Slayer? It's a movie on Netflix, man. That's as much as I know. We've already watched it 3 times. Is it an animated movie? Well, yeah, it's animated. We've watched it 3 times. It's movie night tonight in my household, which probably means my daughter's going to make us watch it again, which is just fine. The songs are really catchy, so she just keeps quoting it and like dancing to the songs and singing the songs. And then like I'm doing this every now and then because I'm telling you, that thing it's huge. And all kids are obsessed with it right now.
Interesting.
Absurdly, like she's gone from Minecraft to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, no, K-pop is pretty popular, I'd say. Yeah, no. Good stuff there. I thought it was the Demon Hunter.
Saja Boys.
Not Demon Hunter. Oh boy, there is a little bit of a power bar break on the 5 minutes, so I got to start maybe lightening up the load a little bit as the market potentially.
It's almost 11 o'clock.
A bit of a bid here. Yeah, close of the hour here, Neil. So yeah, I definitely have to lighten up. There is Buddy on the bid getting taken out as well. Okay, filled. Said I got filled on the MIAX. Okay, all right.
Get it? MIAX had an IPO yesterday.
Yeah, I know. MIAX had an IPO. I was watching that, and apparently, so even though I didn't trade yesterday, they were defending on MIAX, $30 on MIAX. I was like, oh my god.
To us.
Did you take the breakdown?
Okay, I went for a walk.
Oh my god.
So
because that breakdown was so nice.
I was waiting. I was trying to wait it out,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I need to get up, and I was in my desk the whole. I had not gotten up from my desk for any extended time. But MIAX, the Miami Exchange, had an IPO yesterday. What Obi's talking about is here.
Best gate, one of the best.
At $30, it was getting held, and if you looked at the level 2, the bid at $30 was actually on the Miami Exchange. So like this gateway, which hey, what are you going to do? You might as well bid it with the main exchange for that stock, and it was just huge size. I think I don't know, like 1,500 lots or something was there on the MIAX holding 30. And the second it broke, it was pretty clean. I wasn't here when it happened, but I mean, the chart tells me that it was clean, so I know that it was clean. And a good one, but only 3 minutes to go. Have we hinted?
No, don't say anything.
No? There's no hints? Okay. All right, cool, yeah.
Well, I can tell you what's happening for me.
What's happening for
at lunchtime?
Oh boy.
I've been waiting for them to bring this back.
Okay.
And some people might not be excited for it, but I am excited for what's for lunch today because we've got finally assorted sandwiches.
Oh, no way. Let's go. Dude, that's the best one.
It's the best one.
That's the best one.
There's tuna salad, turkey with cranberry relish, roasted vegetable crudité with buttermilk ranch and hummus, dessert squares and cookies. Dessert squares and cookies. Did I mention there are dessert squares and cookies with the lunch today?
Oh boy. That's almost as good as finding out that we have Snickers Coffee Mate. Yes! Did you see that? I saw this in the morning.
It's the little things, everybody.
They're so good, dude. They're so good.
I drink my coffee black, but not today because I discovered that we had these two. I will probably stop using them after today, but I had to have it at least once. I just think you drink it black. I don't like too much sugar.
Whenever people say that, that reminds me of I think it was the joke in the first Naked Gun, where it's the two kids on the airplane, and she's like I like my coffee black.
Now,
just like my men.
I'm impressed that you know this reference. However, as a child of the 80s,
yes,
that's not the Naked Gun. It was a Leslie Nielsen movie. Airplane.
Airplane, yes. Sorry.
Even funny.
Is it actually? So I've seen clips from all of these.
Airplane is one of the funniest movies ever made. My favorite scene is when the dude's going through the airport. The guy that Robert Stack is the actor from Unsolved Mysteries, and he's coming through the airport, and all the Hare Krishnas keep coming at him, and instead of he's like, no thank you, then he just starts going kung fu on all of them. It's like knocks this guy out and throws the other one, and they just keep approaching him. He goes full Bruce Lee on all of them. That movie is absolutely classic. Airplane 2 had William Shatner in it, which was hilarious. Okay. Oh, but you check those out.
I gotta watch those.
You gotta check those.
So I started watching Naked Gun because it's on Netflix now. Both 1, 2. There's 2.5. I didn't even know. But
they're making a new one.
No, the new one's already out. No.
It's out?
I'm pretty sure the new one's already out.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
It's out already.
I'm pretty sure the new one is already out. Correct me in the chat if you guys know, but I'm pretty sure it's already out. And in preparation for watching that, I'm like, that's what I usually do. If there's a new movie coming out and I haven't seen any of the prequels, I make sure I go and spend some time kind of doing that. Got
to. Well, it's 11 o'clock.
Oh boy.
Which means we're gonna mosey and grab those assorted sandwiches. With the salad lunch, we basically just get sandwiches on our lunch. So I don't get to choose which one we get, but all of those sound absolutely delicious. We'll be back at 2, but for now, it's a very special edition.
Oh boy. Blast from the past.
Go get them.
Be right back. Bye-bye.